15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Perloff back in the building. I don't notice a Lombardi. Did you steal anything? Confetti? You're back here. Your Birds are still Super Bowl champs. Has it sunk in yet?
No, I have a major Super Bowl hangover, like the worst I've ever had in my life.
Which is funny because you don't drink.
No,
so
I
it's
know.
not alcohol.
But you have to understand that it was 24 hours of partying, and now it's just like, well, even not sleeping. Everybody at the airport yesterday getting out of New Orleans was over-celebrated. All these Eagles fans just looked awful.
Over-celebrated, overserved.
Yeah, I don't know. It was this weird anticlimax after. Does that make sense? I know this has nothing to do with sports, but today was last night just kind of hit you and you feel a little flat. You wouldn't know that, Maggie?
No.
I
know none of this.
I'm just curious. The Eagles, it looks like the players will keep the party going until the parade, which is Friday. Do they do that intentionally just so they can party all week? What's going on here?
Well, I was a little surprised and we'll get into Travis Kelce and his future and a lot more from this game and a lot of news that actually happened yesterday around the league. But I was a little surprised that they went for Friday because that's generally what you do. You kind of keep the party going in like this big sort of caravan, and from when you win to then the parade is sort of like the culmination. Are they trying to kill these guys? I mean, if the parade's not till Friday, we usually wrap this up in 72 hours so that everyone's liver can eventually have a chance to heal.
The Eagles are going to be 6-11 next year because they're all going to get so injured this week.
I'm going to be honest, I'm not picking them to repeat Super Bowl champs.
There's no reason to.
Because they're going to all be dead. The Friday parade, good luck to everybody, because you know what's going to happen is the fans are also going to try to go throw for throw and beer for beer and yingling for yingling here, and I don't think that's going to be so awesome either. You mentioned, though, we're going to get into the Jalen Hurts of it all, Nick Sirianni, everything to unpack, and whether the Eagles actually could be the next dynasty here in the NFL or if it's just another team. But first, Travis Kelce. So there was some reporting afterwards. Kelce didn't really talk too much to the media after the game. Unlike Mahomes stood up there for, I think, 10 minutes and answered every question, and that comes with being a quarterback, and he had a bad game. But so did Kelce. Kelce was just a zero in this game, quite frankly. Yeah. 4 receptions on 6 targets for 39 yards. His longest was 13 yards. And it's not like Kelce can't have an impact. We saw 2 rounds ago in the playoffs against the Houston Texans, albeit little different opponent, but that Houston Texans defense was ferocious also. Mm-hmm. 7 receptions on 8 targets, 117 yards and a touchdown. It felt like the old Kelce. Now against the Bills, not so much, but he was blocking like crazy. In the Super Bowl, Perloff, not effective in the pass game. Right. And to be honest, Josh Sweat kind of ate him up a couple times also. So he was not great chipping, and even when they asked him to block and to help out with the tackles who were getting overwhelmed, he still was not that awesome. It was just a bad game. Do you think he retires off of this?
Well, I don't, it's weird. I know what you're talking about. There were a couple plays where he was on different pages with Patrick Mahomes, but it's and we were saying the same thing about Mahomes yesterday, it's such a team sport that it's weird to say Travis Kelce had a bad game. Does that mean all the games where he did nothing this season were bad games by Travis Kelce?
Well, I would say this is why he had a bad game, because they really needed somebody in this game.
But to get open,
they needed somebody to get open, and they needed somebody to finally just listen. The Chiefs couldn't get over midfield, okay? They needed somebody to just take a little maybe of the pressure off of Patrick Mahomes.
But how does he do that as a tight end? How is Travis Kelce? He's not, when Patrick Mahomes is getting tackled, what's he going to do?
You can help block if they wanted him to.
But that's not where he can't help block because he's going out in pattern, so that's not a thing.
Okay, well, your offensive line's getting overwhelmed and they're only rushing 4. They never blitzed.
Right, that's not on him. That's what I'm saying. No. He was in an impossible spot in some senses.
Well, I guess there were passes that were dropped. There were low throws from Mahomes. They were just not on the same page. And it feels like I've watched since, for the past 7-8 years, whenever the Chiefs really needed a spark, especially in the biggest games, there was Kelce somehow getting open. There was Kelce somehow on a quick slant. There's Kelce somehow making a guy miss. There's Kelce making something happen. Nothing happened.
Yeah,
so, I think he had a bad game.
I somewhat disagree with you. You're in the mainstream here. Everyone says he has a bad game, but there was nothing he could do. Like, honestly, Mahomes wasn't seeing anything. There was nothing that Mahomes and Kelce could have done. But that's not the point. The other thing about him, and I noticed this, he looks slow. And to me, when you start to look slow in the NFL, guess what that means? It's time to walk away.
Time to go. See, I get it. And he did. He cannot retire off this game.
Why? What? It's not his game. It's not like he fumbled the ball 3 times.
Okay, they all can't retire off this game. Andy Reid can't retire off this game. Mahomes
Joe
could never.
Joe Thuney the whole line should retire.
No, everyone's got to come back. Now, I don't know. Now, that's actually not going to happen. We can go through the Chiefs roster. They have so many free agents this year. Their GM has got his work cut out for him to try to figure out what the future of this team's going to look like, and maybe it's a major reshuffling, and I don't know. But Travis Kelce cannot retire off of this game. It's not befitting of his career, quite frankly. And I don't think that game and that Super Bowl was actually shows that he has nothing left to give. Because again, I saw him against Houston, and I saw him be very good against a Houston team that had a really good defense. So I think there's a couple things. One, going out like that just feels just like a whimper. And 2, I think he's got to keep this going a little bit. I know we talk about Taylor, and apparently he was a little rattled that she got booed. There was some reporting afterwards that he said, I felt helpless that she was getting booed. There was some reporting that, he felt really bad and kind of shook him up a little bit. Whatever, this is celebrity gossip. But I just think that he's got to stay busy in some ways to stay super appealing to her. She's a worker bee. I'm telling you. No. You're saying to say appealing to her, he definitely has the power in this relationship. Okay, well, totally whatever it is. But she's a touring pop star who's not just sitting back in some mansion in Hollywood somewhere and counting the money. She's making albums. She's out there. She's at the top of her game. I think she probably likes when he comes on tour with her, but I don't think she wants a lapdog.
He's going to go into the media.
Maybe, but
no,
definitely.
Oh, now,
definitely.
Okay.
But what? He's going to take a little bit to figure this out. Is he going to act? Is he going to? He'll continue the podcast. The podcast is once a week, guys. It's a part-time job.
He had 2 or 3 movies last year. He might have more going on than her.
Yeah, maybe.
What did she do last year?
I think what did she do?
Tour's over, isn't it?
She toured.
Are you serious?
Is that tour still going on? That can't possibly.
Last year. It was on all of last year.
When did my daughter go to see Taylor Swift? That was last year?
Yes. Time's just flying for you.
And okay. Anyway, that tour feels like it's been going on for about a decade. Like she's a
literally
little
called
bit,
the Eras Tour.
Anyway, she's a little slow right now. He is not. If any NFL player who retires is going to not have to worry about being busy, it's Travis Kelce. No one's ever had their hands in more things. He's in 2 movies that are coming out next year.
Okay, but here's the thing about that. And we're talking about Travis Kelce and should he retire, should he not? 855-212-4227. I say no for the football reasons, but now we're also talking about for the off the field stuff. I also think that every single football player, whether you're set up for life after football and you got your whole agent and your team around you and all that, you go through an identity crisis. Everyone does. You were known to be a football player your entire life, and now you're something else. And by the way, he's in movies. Is he any good? No clue. We'll find out.
I heard he was really good in that Fox special.
Sure, whatever. I'm not watching it. But okay.
I'll
take your word for it.
It's a very highly critically acclaimed show, but go ahead.
Okay, fine. But here's the thing, right? It's like he's going to go through this identity crisis, and I wonder if he wants to do that right now when their relationship is like hanging in the balance. Again, I think it's appealing to her that he's a famous football player, and I think he's going to keep that going to keep up this thing of she's the singer and he's the famous football player, not he's the retired football player. So that's just another reason.
Yeah.
But the football stuff first. I think he still has a lot. I think he still has more to give to this Chiefs team.
Yeah, I mean, I would be really careful because, first of all, for some reason, this Chiefs loss feels like the 13-3 Patriots win over the Rams in 2018. Like, this is the tail end of this mini run, right? Like, everyone's getting old. Their O-line's a disaster. So, I don't know. If he comes back, like you only come back because you think you can win the title next year. Does he realistically think that? Because what's the point? He's not going to come back to not win the title. Like, you have to be all in. And I'm not sure he's going to look at this team and say, oh, we're going to repeat here. Get back to the Super Bowl. The other thing, too, is, like, if you're not going to retire this year after you look a little slower, when are you going to retire? Like, what's the point? Just dwindle to your nothing?
Well, again, I don't know if it's nothing. Like, you're telling me, did he have a bad game? You're not even sure that he had a bad game, number one. I don't think he's all of a sudden a bad player. Well,
I do think I did notice, like, the Chiefs were just the key to the game was their receivers were so darn slow. The Eagles could do whatever they wanted. Like, they had except for Worthy, as long as someone was back on Worthy.
Yeah.
Like, and I thought Kelce. It's sometimes hard to tell which one is Kelce and which one is Gray, but they both.
Then they're all slow.
They looked incredibly slow. By the time Mahomes had to wait so long for everyone to come out of a break, I thought Kelce looked a little slow. So I think he's slowing down a little bit, and he's not like Gronk where he could just use his size to box out guys and play forever. I think that Kelce needs speed, and I think he's 35. I think it's going away from him.
So our very own Andrew Kaplan in our chat. Good morning, everybody. Weedo's coffee drinkers and everyone listening across the country on the Infinity Sports Network, pointing out Kelce, $17.25 million for next year is what the contract says. That's a lot of reasons to come back.
Yeah, I mean, could he make that other places? Of course.
Fair point.
I mean, Tom Brady just got $37 million a year, and I'd say Travis Kelce is, after Brady, and Rodgers, the most sought after media person. So he's got all this acting. He's going to get, I don't know if he goes to ESPN. I'm sure like Amazon will throw just a Brinks truck of money at him. He'll be that guy's going to be busy. I just think like what's he going to do here? This, I guess, is a more basic question. Do you wait until there's nothing left to retire, or do you get out with just a little bit left?
Sometimes with some of these tight ends, I think they're done, shot over, and then they kind of get this second life. Like, I thought Gronkowski was done like 3 different times. And then he ends up winning that Super Bowl in Tampa with Tom, and he looked really good in that run. He was really crucial to that run.
Name another one. Some of these tight ends, you're talking about Kelce and Gronk. This is like the all-time two. But I think Kelce's, like I said, more of a speed player than Gronk. Gronk is just like massive and could run down the field. Maybe Kelce plays half a season. I mean, Kelce's only really been playing partial seasons. He's kind of less used during the regular season. But I think you get to a bigger question too. Is Kelce going to look at this team and say we can repeat?
I think they're all telling themselves that. I think
really?
They are. Yeah.
Maybe, but I think Kelce is a very realistic person. I think he might look at that O-line and say, I don't know.
Well, they were able to remake an O-line after the Tampa loss.
Yeah.
They threw a lot of money at Joe Thuney, traded for Orlando Brown, drafted Creed Humphrey. They made the upgrades, and they did it in one offseason. Now, they end up losing to the Cincinnati Bengals in the AFC Championship game, but they did accomplish the goal of rebuilding that line.
No, you're right. I'm an idiot for not counting on the Chiefs to come back because they could always beat the Bills, and they could always beat the Ravens.
Thank you.
I don't know. I just think that at a certain point, like, you got to let go, right? And this feels like the point. It wasn't that bad of a Super Bowl for Kelce because everybody else played badly too.
Yeah.
Like, does he really stand out?
Mahomes stood out the most because he's the quarterback, so we're always looking at him.
Right. So, actually, I didn't realize that he only had 6 targets, and 4 of them were either of them, I'm curious, graded as drops because one was really low. I don't think...
One was very low.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the other was the drop.
Yeah, but remember he didn't know the ball was coming. It was a miscommunication. So is that on Kelce? Is that because Mahomes was rushed because I just think it was a bad game, but it was a bad game for everyone. So it's kind of hard for him to stand out as particularly bad.
It's just funny that, we're talking about Travis Kelce and his future and should he retire, and you can call us at 855-212-4227 it's funny to talk about Mahomes and Kelce not being on the same page. Because these are two guys, and that's a credit to the Eagles defense.
Yes.
These are two guys who have been communicating telepathically for like almost a decade.
Right, but what is their signature play?
The backyard run around.
Yes,
and when Mahomes holds the ball, it's a disaster.
But, right, usually that works.
Mm-hmm.
Travis Kelce had no time to freelance like Travis Kelce because the pass rush they were winning every single one-on-one matchup. So he couldn't do his thing. That's the problem.
Let's put a poll up. Kelce retire?
Should Kelce retire?
Manny, yes, no.
Should Travis Kelce retire? I wouldn't.
$17 million bucks.
Yeah, I mean, that's 17 million reasons right there.
EJ, retire? Yes, no.
No, but it's because of the money. I mean, in terms of like actual performance, yeah. I mean, I think the Chiefs would be better off trying to find a young, exciting guy who can develop with Patrick Mahomes moving forward. But for him, no. And I don't agree with Perloff that, by the way, that the Taylor Swift thing is he has a wrapped around her finger. If he retires, I think that is a different landscape for him.
Have you seen
You jabroni!
You see the dweebs she's dated in the past? A retired Travis Kelce is 4 times the man of those little indie rock twerps that she's been dating.
She likes those indie rock twerps. That's my point. Like
Yeah.
I think
She don't like
Up
them
until
enough not
recently.
to dump them.
Well,
Or
no, but I
they
mean, she
dump
dumps
her.
all. I didn't mean to be fair. Like, I don't think, Tom Hiddleston's not an indie twerp.
He's one. Okay.
He's cool. Like, yeah, and Jake Gyllenhaal
Jake
definitely
Gyllenhaal.
is not. Like, yeah. So
Yeah,
I mean,
Travis Kelce,
she could find another Fox. That's not her problem.
Travis Kelce is a real man, not an actor or a musician. Like,
to be
there's
fair,
no
guys,
way. I think
isn't he a movie
he
now?
has all the power. I watched them together and I read body language. I don't even care if he was retired. Like, that dude is a stud for her. I think he has the power.
He's the one that made the bracelet that tried to throw it on the stage to get her attention. I'm not gonna sit here and say that she's all of a sudden she has no power in this.
If
Yeah.
I told you one member
He
of that
pursued
couple,
her.
if one member of that couple cheated, who did you think it would be?
That's
Wow.
a man.
Come on.
That's a man-woman thing.
Yeah.
That's nothing.
Okay.
That's nothing to do with this.
I'm just saying.
In my opinion.
Travis,
Thanks, Manny.
But the other thing,
you're welcome.
Wait, also 17 million, like he's giving up money on it. I really believe, like, you don't think Amazon or one of those streaming companies or Netflix or somebody's gonna be like, here's $10 million to do 3 appearances.
Oh,
like,
no, they
they're
definitely
so
would. You're
he's
right about
giving
that.
up money to get on that field. Like,
You're right
and
about
also
that.
movies.
Sure.
You guys discount like Howie Long made 3 movies, and he was no Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce's he's gonna be in Happy Gilmore 2, which is gonna be awesome. He was in that show, Ryan Murphy's show, Grotesquerie. Like, that's high end TV. He's gonna be an actor. I think he's going to be fine. He's got to start at some point. You just want him to play till he's 50, Maggie?
But you just mentioned Howie Long, and no disrespect to Howie Long, but what's he doing now? He's sitting.
Yeah,
he's sitting on Sundays doing game analysis. He's not a movie star. He's not The Rock. Like, there's these athletes, we think, just retire and it'll be easy. I mean, some of these guys that actually have had great careers post their careers in terms of playing, it took them a little while to get their footing.
Well, Howie came right out of the gate with the movies and now has been doing the TV.
I'm saying, but he hasn't. When was the last time Howie? Like, he's not.
Oh, right,
The movie career didn't become his source of income for the rest of his life,
No.
obviously. So the idea that Travis Kelce is going to be making $40 million a year as a movie star, it may feel that way today, but we'll see where we are 10 years from now, 5 years from now.
No, you get like a 4 or 5 year run. Like Brian Bosworth had a couple movies.
Yeah, and then you got to be good. Wait, Brian Bosworth had 4 or 5 movies?
Well, he had a 4 or 5 year run where he could capitalize on his celebrity.
I know,
But
now
Travis
he's doing
Kelce,
Dr. Pepper commercials.
well, Travis Kelce will
I love the pep.
do a few movies, maybe multiple movies, but he's a little different than there's really hasn't been a player who's capitalized more off the field than Travis Kelce. He hosted SNL before Taylor Swift. That's crazy. Like, why him? He's very, very appealing. Like, he's like a little better behaved Gronk.
Better behaved.
He can also-
855-212-4227. Okay, so Travis Kelce, hang it up or keep playing. You're welcome to weigh in on that. For our 49er fans in the audience who maybe feel a little neglected during this Super Bowl run, we got you. Because you got news. So we're going to talk about your news. So much more to do, including more fallout from the Super Bowl. We never got to the M&P 500 yesterday, so whose stock is up, whose stock is down. And by the way, guess who made their Laker debut last night? Luka. I should have just left that. I don't think I needed to say it. You all knew. Luka Doncic on the court last night. How did it go in purple and gold? We'll tell you next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. We're debating the future of Travis Kelce. Should he call it up? What was the poll? Will he retire or should he retire? I think there's two different questions.
So here's another part of this that we didn't talk about yet, which is how much of Chiefs fatigue was Kelce? Like, a lot of it was Taylor.
Taylor's, yeah. He's got his first produced movie, an independent feature called My Dead Friend Zoe. He's actually got a big role in Happy Gilmore 2, and according to the Hollywood Reporter, he's attached to many acting and producing projects.
It's Travis's world.
He's got a team. Yeah, you know what? The question is, how much fame, how long is this run going to be? Like how good he has to stay with Taylor for the career, and when he strikes when the iron is hot on the acting part.
855-212-4227. Let's hit the phones. Our pal Brad is in Alabama. Wants to talk about a part of the game. We mentioned this yesterday, but we didn't harp on it. Brad, Alabama players from your home state who came up big in the Super Bowl. How you doing?
Hey, good morning, guys. Perloff, what'd I tell them? Devontae and A.J. Brown, huh? I said it all week. I hope you make some money, big guy.
But they're not Alabama players. I mean, one is, but they're not both Alabama players.
Well, what I meant was, Maggie, I thought you were going to apologize. University of Alabama has 4 Super Bowl quarterbacks now.
I was going to apologize. I never disparage Alabama QBs.
Wait, Maggie, what was that
We had the
stat
stat
you had?
yesterday.
Tape now, Maggie. You said, when's Alabama known for pumping out QBs that win Super Bowls?
I did say
Starr, Namath, Stabler, now Love Hurts. You know what I mean? Fly, Eagles, fly, baby.
Yeah.
And when you turn...
There was a couple years in between those guys.
Lose.
Brad, you deserve to gloat today. But what did we have the stat yesterday, guys? It was Texas and Alabama. We had some fun stats about that.
So Alabama, there have been no player drafted from Alabama that scored a point in the Super Bowl.
Right, because technically Jalen Hurts transferred to Oklahoma.
Right, and then none of the other players touched the end zone. I think maybe Barstar threw a touchdown, but he never got in the end zone.
Okay, yeah, different time.
And for Texas, they had never had a player score a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
In the Super Bowl, it was shocking.
Now Slim Reaper changed that. Just like at Alabama, 4th down stop, hit them with a play action deep pass. All 4 touchdowns. All 4 touchdowns offensively were SEC guys. Did y'all realize that? With Worthy, Smith, Brown, Hurt.
Wow. I mean, Howie Roseman loves drafting those SEC guys, Georgia and Alabama.
It seems simple, but it's a great formula.
Yeah.
When you put them on the turf, speed shows up. And what's the SEC known for, guys?
Well, I thought it was known as a power conference. You think of it as a speed conference?
Speed, baby. Georgia, Florida, Texas, Louisiana.
Man, Brad, you guys got to be reveling. It's awesome. You deserve it. And, we'll turn our attention to...
hey, Maggie.
Yeah, Brad.
I played all that on a parlay. 78-36 Sunday. I was in a house that won $39,000. Boom! Perloff, let's go, Eagles. When y'all coming down to the mullet toss, huh?
Look at you. What
Go
is
Birds!
it? You were in a house that had nearly 40K winnings off of a parlay?
Whoa! That's an SEC parlay. That's impressive.
I love it.
I'm mad I didn't get on that. Why didn't I think of that?
You can see the wheels turning in all of our minds. We're like, yeah, that would have done
Worthy, Brown, and
it hurts.
I'm now
and Devontae Smith.
And Devontae Smith.
I'm a little nervous now, though, because now with NIL, the SEC's not as good. Will Howie have his Georgia, Alabama pipeline? Where's he going to draft guys from now? Now that SMU and Boise State and all these other teams are talented, Howie's not going to be able to just draft a bunch of Georgia guys and win Super Bowls.
I know. I love it how, now with NIL, it's all of a sudden the SEC is just going to float off
into
the ether. I don't think it's going to be like that.
They're basically Conference USA now in my mind because...
I know. The way Perloff talks about them, it's whatever happened to the Pac-12, it's basically, it's like this, that they're just going to fall apart and never be relevant again. I think the SEC is going to make it.
Well, obviously, Alabama and Georgia has been the key to Howie Roseman's drafting. Everyone called them the Philadelphia Bulldogs. I don't know if that's going to exist anymore, but man, that was a great idea by Brad.
Any other gambling stories that you guys have heard? I got a good one from over the weekend. My cousin told me yesterday that.
Oh, I have one.
A Super Bowl square. One guy was a friend of his. It was $300 a square, and he was on his way to winning $10,000. And that garbage second touchdown, the second Xavier Worthy touchdown that meant absolutely nothing, blew his Super Bowl square, and he would have had $10,000.
Oh, no.
I know.
I heard one, and I actually need you guys to give advice on this because it's an active situation.
Whoa, okay.
How?
The game's over.
I saw a friend in the airport, and she has a 19-year-old son. And basically, he made a preseason drunken bet with a Cowboy fan. He's a Cowboy fan. His friend's an Eagles fan. And they said, if either team wins, I will get a tattoo of your team. So he's a Cowboy fan. The Eagles won. He has no tattoos, and he lost a bet, has to get an Eagles tattoo. Should he follow through and honor his bet?
Yes.
He has no choice.
I mean, did they shake on it?
You guys, there's no debate. I think it's done.
The Supreme Court has spoken.
No, they were
AJ
so.
and Manny.
By the way, I'm going to text my friend right now and tell her that he has no choice.
Did they shake on it?
They were apparently hammered in a bar and shook on it, and it's a thing.
If you can remember a hammered bet, then you should need to follow up on the bet.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, if you were not so hammered, and we do not advocate for this, obviously, but if you're not so hammered that you don't even recall making the bet, then you got to follow through on the bet. Can we put that up as a poll question? If you make a drunken bet, does that have to be paid off?
Maggie, you like this too, by the way. Apparently, the kid went into full panic mode. When the Commanders beat the Lions, he knew it was over.
Oh, my gosh, he was dead. Wait, does the other guy get to pick out what the tattoo is? Like, is it Lane Johnson's face? Like, what is, or is it just an Eagles, just the logo?
I don't know. Apparently.
And what body part?
I don't know the details. I will get those. But apparently, without giving out too much detail, because I was said I'm not allowed to say his name.
Okay.
He went to Boston College, whose nickname is the Eagles, but it's a different looking eagle.
Yeah.
So he said that, okay, maybe I can pretend this is my college mascot, but a Philadelphia Eagle logo is a little different.
You got to make that thing green. You got to make that bird green.
Where do you put it, Manny? You know, you're young like these people.
Well, Manny also has a couple tattoos. He did the thigh. He's got the ankle.
Shoulder blade.
Shoulder blade.
Goes
Okay.
right on the shoulder blade.
Can hide a little bit.
Hide it a little bit, but you know what? It's still somebody. It can still be accidentally seen and can be a fine drunken story.
See, I think you go upper thigh. I think, Manny, you were onto something. I also know someone else who has like Mr. Met or something on the upper thigh. I think that the shoulder, it's like everyone's gonna see it when you're at the beach. Like the thigh, you
for being a fool.
You can hide.
Well, I said it's the ultimate cocktail party conversation. Like he's got a story for the rest of his life if he gets this Eagles tattoo. I mean, it's the most interesting thing I've ever heard. Like, what better opening line is there? Hey, I got this tattoo. And immediately you can talk to anybody about it. Who's not going to want to know that story?
Not a good story.
Hey, I saw your tattoo from about a block away. Go Birds. I'm actually a Cowboy fan.
Yeah, no, that's a great story.
Let me tell you a story, buddy.
Oh, let me get some Japanese symbol that means nothing to anybody and then be pretentious about it. I'd much rather have an Eagles logo as a Cowboys fan. That's
Just
hysterical.
caught a stray.
But he was a no tattoo guy. Like, it's not a great story. You're like, oh, where'd you get that tattoo? Drunken bet one night.
You don't think that's a great story? That's one of the great all-time stories.
It's a good story. I'll also add to the conversation that he does have a choice, despite what the other side of the room tells you. I mean, he is technically allowed to go, I'm not going to scar my body for forever.
Did you see EJ and Manny's reaction, though,
Yes.
Bogusch?
It was like he had signed in blood. Right. Like, no, I'm sorry. This is a blood
I think
oath.
part of it for me is that the bet is so stupid that to put yourself out there like that, now you have to do it. Like, it's so ridiculous that now it's like to walk away from it now. It's just like, well, what's the point of even messing around?
It feels like when you lose a fantasy football league and you have to do something totally ridiculous, it kind of has that energy.
A little more permanent.
Well, a lot of fantasy football leagues do that too, tattoos.
I know, but I feel like for tattoo people, like people who have multiple, it's not as big of a thing. This is this guy's first tattoo.
Well, he's your generation. A tattoo is nothing. It's like
That's true.
Getting your hair cut. It's totally different.
Yeah, it's not the same.
I don't know. EJ and Manny are like, yeah, it's a tattoo. Like, of course he's going to get a tattoo. And am I crazy that the tattoo culture has changed a little bit?
No, you're absolutely right. So how did the mom feel? Is she
Horrible.
okay? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. She was not good.
Is there
should be all right.
Is there anything on the friend, the other guy, to give, not to excuse the bet, but to be like, okay, just give me a tiny eagle wing, like somewhere really hard to see. So I still get my tattoo, but I'm not putting something on your body that you're going to have to like literally deal with all the time.
Yeah, it's not like a full Jalen Hurts mural on your back.
Exactly. Like holding a lion, like something you can't go crazy.
Absolutely not. You get the 80s,
You're a bad person,
You get
that's
the
why.
80s logo, the Kelly Green logo of the full eagle just going
Across your chest, two huge eagle wings.
Exactly.
Yep.
100%.
I think he shouldn't be able to cover it until the Cowboys win a Super Bowl.
Oh, I love that.
So never.
Yeah, that one's going to the
There
grave.
you go. Well, shouldn't have made the stupid bet.
In one of the movies I starred in, That's My Boy, with Adam Sandler,
Oh, yes, of course.
What a sentence.
he had a back tattoo of the Backstreet Boys. It was covered his entire back. I don't know if anyone remembers
That's
that.
a good idea. That's a good idea for a tattoo.
Yeah. What if this guy had to have his entire back covered with a picture of Jalen Hurts in the middle and A.J. Brown and Saquon Barkley?
Of the offensive line.
Yeah, the whole O-line or all the
And
exciting
Jergens.
whites, just the DeJean Blankenship.
Yeah. I don't know the details of the bet. Maybe he can't have like a little wing on his ankle. Maybe he has to get his whole back covered
whole
with
back tattoo. That'd be great, actually.
Wow. All right. Do you have to honor that bets that were made in a drunken stupor? Let us know. 855-212-4227. Bogusch, what else is going on?
All the headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs for protection on the road and on the water. See how much you can save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and progressive.com. AGLES. The Lakers won, and Luka didn't snap an adductor like Anthony Davis did, so it was a good debut in L.A. last night.
Luka Doncic behind the three-point line now drives to the basket. Got there. Foul. Kind of it goes. And he just toyed with him, Michael. Waited for the contact, put it up and in, and he's got a chance at it. Old school three-point play.
John Ireland, Michael Thompson, Lakers radio Luka, 14 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists in 24 minutes. And again, this Laker debut.
I was a little nervous before. I remember when was the last time I was nervous before the game. So, but once I stepped on the court, it was fun, and just being out there again felt amazing.
The Lakers took care of the Jazz, 132-113. They've won 6 in a row now, 12 of their last 14. It was Jimmy Butler's second game with the Warriors, 20 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, a 125-111 win in Milwaukee. Nikola Jokic scored 40 in the Nuggets' 7th straight win, 146-117 over the Blazers. And the Thunder hit a team record 27 threes in a 137-101 rout of the Pelicans. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander hit 4 of those threes, scored 31.
Sean Gilgeous-Alexander.
A 3-person panel has ruled in favor of Alex Rodriguez and partners restarting their pursuit of T-Wolves ownership. This all goes back to current owner Glenn Taylor saying that A-Rod and company had missed a deadline for a payment, therefore stopping their transition process. But now A-Rod's group has money in escrow. This will all come down to a vote by the other NBA owners. Super Bowl 59 was kind of a dud, but Fox is still projecting a record audience. The network says roughly 126 million people watched Eagles-Chiefs on TV, streaming, or Spanish-language broadcasts. Official final numbers expected later today. Last year's game drew 123 mil. Auburn remains number 1 in the AP men's poll despite losing to Florida over the weekend. The Gators and Duke now tied for 3rd. Alabama sitting 2nd. UConn out of the top 25 this week after a home loss to St. John's. On the court last night, number 6 Houston down Baylor 76-65 for a 3rd straight win. Tiger Woods will not play this week's Genesis Invitational, which benefits his charity because of the recent death of his mother. And a quick update on something I mentioned yesterday. Sidney Crosby good to go for the Four Nations Cup, which begins tomorrow after missing the Penguins' last 2 games with a left arm injury.
Phew.
Exactly.
Bogusch, thank you so much. I want to get back to the Luka stuff in just a moment because there were a couple interesting details from last night beyond just the basketball. JT's in Atlanta has a thought on Perloff ran into a friend whose kid made a drunken bet that now he has to get an Eagles tattoo. Not an Eagles fan, has no tattoos. JT, do you have to pay off drunken bets?
Definitely. I mean, again, what is the thing like? Oh, I don't remember. I get drunk and do things that I wouldn't normally do. Not an excuse in any shape or form, whether it's a tattoo or not. If the guy would want the other person to have paid off, had the Cowboys been worth a dang, then you would still have to. I mean, at that point, you got to do it. It's your word. What did Scarface say? All I got is in my word.
Yeah.
And if you ain't got that, then you don't got anything.
I don't know if he's the guy we should be looking to. They did that well for Al Pacino in that movie.
You gotta follow through. Now, in regard to the Kelce thing, I wanted to say one thing in regards to that too. Is that I don't know. I'm not a Swiftie, but my girlfriend is. So I've listened to that latest album where she's talking about Travis. She's into this guy, regardless of where he works or not. I don't think that matters at all. I think the fact that he picks her up, the way he picks her up, and the way that those other actors and artists couldn't, is a thing for her. And I don't think that's going to change just because he's not playing football. I think he's still going to work out. So I think he'll still have the ability to keep her happy.
Wait, JT, when you say pick her up, you don't mean like her spirits. You mean physically lifting her in the sky.
I definitely don't mean her spirit. I mean like what she say, the laundry room, something. I haven't listened to. I've only listened to the album one time because I had to. But yeah, there's a part in there where she talks about some muscles that he uses and how it makes her feel.
Right, it's like the Saturday Night Live skit where the players come and you can rent a player to pick you up because it feels like, I'm with them. Basically, nothing ever changes from high school. You could be the coolest, most interesting person in the world. Every woman, in my opinion, wants to date the star football player. And I'm being shallow here, but I think that's generally the way the universe works.
Okay, well, think about what you're saying. When he's no longer playing football, he's now the retired football player. Yeah, he's 35 years old. He's still going to be able to hoist her in the air.
Yeah, but Taylor's
something I didn't think I was going to say today. But, it takes a little, when you're not actually putting on the uniform and getting out there, it's a little bit different.
No, I don't. Well, I mean, Taylor Swift is getting older, too. She's not going to be scouting this year's draft class for a new tight end. She's
getting older. Have you
Brock
seen the
Bowers
Rolling
is available.
Stones are still touring. She can tour for another 50 years.
I'm just saying that she's not always going to be married to an active player. Like, she's not like, there's some strong tight end prospects here in this year's class. Like, you're like...
Yeah, she's not calling Brock Bowers.
Listen, Belichick keeps scouting
Brock
the new
Bowers
class, clearly.
Why not her? Who looks like he's 45 already. That's the thing. That's why Brock Bowers... No, she's not going to date any of these guys. Who's the kid out of Miami that you love so much, EJ?
Elijah Arroyo.
Yeah.
Watch out, Travis Kelce. Here comes Tyler Warren.
Is she looking at the 40 times of this year's tight end? She's got to date... She's got to marry somebody. Eventually, they're not going to be in the league. Hey, by the way, can we also consider that maybe they're in love? Is that actually cross anyone's mind?
Yeah, mine from the beginning. Maggie's the one still rolling her eyes.
I'm not saying they're not in love. I'm just saying this idea that things don't change in a relationship is, to me, like, that to me, I don't understand. Like, yes, when a guy changes his career and everything about what we know publicly about this Taylor Travis thing is that she was infatuated by being introduced to football, and then he's not doing football, and say that that's going to have no impact. I don't see it that way.
Also, he's going to go through this identity crisis, whether he's doing it on a movie set or he's doing it while they're on vacation together in Aruba. It's going to happen because it literally happens to everybody. How many athletes have we talked to? From Joe Montana, Tom Brady's going through it right now. I sat next to Bart Scott. He had to go to tons of therapy. He's open about it. It was very, very challenging. And he walked right into the CBS booth, or the desk. Just because you have a job doesn't mean you're not like dying. That part of you doesn't die.
But
and the people closest to you are the ones who have to help you get through it.
Right. I mean, there are some rare exceptions where people actually don't get divorced when they retire from football. Like, it's happened, where...
It's true.
Yeah, like all of them. Like, this is what I...
It's
like,
not all of them.
Not all of them. That's not true.
I don't know. I know
players retiring and then not getting divorced.
Do you think, like, immediately... Bogusch, help me out here. Like, you'd be like, a player retires, like, well, there goes the marriage. Like, that's not how it works.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the breakdown is, but I would argue... I'll live in the middle that I think, whether it's not football specific, just when your life is different and maybe he's around more and he has his own stuff going on, that could lead to things, but it's not a guarantee that it's going to ruin them and break them up. But
Could make them stronger. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, I got to be honest, like, active players are out there causing a lot more trouble than retired players. Like, trust me, it ain't that easy to be married to an active NFL player. Like, that is no picnic. I mean, that's NFL. Imagine baseball or basketball where they're traveling 300 days a year.
Well, that's totally different. 855-212-4227. Very different road culture for those two sports. Okay, Travis Kelce, should he retire? Should he continue? Let us know at 855-212-4227. Also, if you make a bet drunkenly, do you have to pay it off? Got that. More on Luka Doncic, more on the 49ers next.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Cheers chanted cause they said there was no chance. Trying to be the greatest in the league. Where's the trophy? He just comes running over me. Touchdown, call the amateurs and cut him from the tee.
Welcome back. song called Alchemy by Taylor Swift that is about Travis Kelce, obviously. It's a little on the nose, talking about touchdowns and trophies and making the team and all that. We got it. This one, not the Easter eggs that we have to go looking for in other songs.
Do you think they get engaged this offseason?
Yeah, I do. I think they're going to get engaged. I think they're going to get married. I think they're going to have kids. I mean, and then I think they're going to be just like everyone else, you know, not everyone else in the fact like they're famous, but, you know, divorce rates and stuff like that and things that couples go through. I think they might last forever. This could be Wayne Gretzky and Janet Joe. I have no idea. Or it could be, something that kind of fizzles out. We have no clue. They're under different kind of pressure, unique pressure. But we're asking, should Travis Kelce retire? That's really where this whole thing started.
She does have a song in her latest album as well called But Daddy, I Love Him. So do what you wish with that information.
I thought that was about some other guy.
Well, you know what? Still, she loves him. Daddy.
Whoever that guy is.
She has this song about Vic Fangio, which is weird.
Well, that's funny.
Oh, yeah.
She really saw that pass rush coming.
Yeah, she's like, Daddy, the cover 3, we'll solve it eventually. That was a weird, specific song.
I think she wrote that when he was still in Denver, too.
When she name-checked Zach Bond was really when I was like, man, she's been watching film. Look at her. 855-212-4227.
All 22.
Let's go to Big Friendly, who's our pal in California. Big Friendly, good morning.
Good morning, Maggie Malone, EJ the EP, 411, Manny De Niro, the one, the only, Daddy Cool, 411, from Albany to AP Defensive Rookie of the Year. Talk about it.
Well, Bogusch isn't in here right now, but Jared Verse, you're absolutely right. Jared Verse took home Defensive Rookie of the Year, well-deserved, and his teammate Braden Fisk was also a finalist for the award. That was a great moment.
Yes, ma'am. Now, real quick, Maggie.
Yep.
I don't think right now we should talk about drunken bets being cashed in, the lovely lady, when I'm still waiting for a sober bet to be cashed in.
I know. I got to dress up like a Rams fan. I will do it. I'm juggling a few things, Friendly. You have to give me a little grace.
What does a Rams fan dress like?
I think I just have to paint my face.
You're dressed like a Rams fan now.
I'm just like Kelly Stafford today.
Real quick. Daddy Cool. Your fandom is under investigation.
Okay.
For the last 3 weeks, you have been waffling more than Roscoe's on your Eagles.
No.
Everybody who watched football knew they were going to win regardless.
So, but I couldn't turn and pick them. But then I would have killed their chances of winning the Super Bowl.
Okay, Big Friendly, we got to interpret here. Thankfully, I speak fluent Perloff. This is what's going on. Perloff believes that things that he does impacts whether or not the Eagles win or lose.
No,
it's delusional. So he thought if he picks the Eagles, that means he's a mush and that he's going to mush his own team. So he intentionally, emotionally hedged against the Eagles. I know. You got to follow me down this ridiculous rabbit hole. He can't just root for his team like anyone else.
No. I honestly, I did not think they were as good as they were this year. I was wrong about the team. I'm not going to lie. Oh, absolutely. I just think it was shocking. When in the history, Big Friendly of sport, have two cornerbacks come in and transform to two rookie cornerbacks? It's never happened. You know the last time it happened? Never. I mean, we're going back to 100 years of NFL, that they got Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell and totally changed the face of the defense. That is so unlikely, right? Like, why would I have seen that coming? Who saw it coming? Who picked the Eagles preseason? Nobody.
Okay, real quick. Daddy Cool. I agree with you. But can we talk about what Nick Fangio did? Everybody's talking about Patrick Mahomes having a bad game. Nick Fangio played over-under on everybody. He had nowhere to go.
Yep.
Those four linemen were coming for lunch every snap. Thank you for taking my call. Maggie, I can't wait to see you in the blue and gold, rocking some Rand chains.
I got him. Big Friendly, the bet will be paid off, I promise you. I always do pay off my bets eventually. And you're right, this one was made as totally stone sober, and I will do that. Have you noticed a couple Rams rumors out there right now? Have you noticed a little, like, Stafford traded Rodgers in stuff? Is there anything to that?
Oh, I have no idea. By the way, one thing, Vic Fangio, I didn't see that coming either. I thought he had lost his fastball. And I did read that 0-8 stat against Mahomes. Like, I don't know. Everyone's like, oh, yeah, I saw this coming, this Eagles blowout. Is there a little too much of that out there?
I don't think a lot of people saw this coming.
Yeah.
The spread was a 1.5, but I do think that the Eagles, from when they beat the Steelers on, just showed how dangerous they were.
Yeah.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
So this is interesting. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. So when the Super Bowl ended on Sunday night and the Eagles were crowned the champions, congrats again, Perloff, to your birds.
Everyone keeps saying congrats. I didn't block anyone. I didn't catch anything. Like,
I'll just take it.
I'll boo you. Boo. Boo.
Somebody said great job to me. Like,
well, you do think that you have some kind of impact. You'll sit in a certain seat.
Yeah.
You'll bet against the team if it means them winning. But anyway, I'm just being nice. But here's the thing. The confetti's falling, and all of a sudden we get the favorites for next year's Super Bowl because this is the society we live in now. It's always what's next, what's next, what's next. And as the confetti is falling, the sports books are telling us that next year's preseason betting favorite to win the whole thing are the Chiefs and the Ravens. Between then and yesterday, Monday, that changed to now the Eagles are the betting favorites. So go Birds! The money poured in on Philadelphia. Perloff, you know this team better than all of us. Do you think that the Eagles deserve to be the favorites for next season?
100%. How on earth were the Kansas City Chiefs favored over the Philadelphia Eagles next year after what happened on the field in New Orleans? That's insane to me, right? Like, explain to me the logic.
Well, I mean, you're asking me to get in the minds of Las Vegas, and I think they'd probably just be going off of, well, the Kansas City Chiefs are the dynasty. 3 Super Bowls, 6 years. It definitely counts. They did not complete the three-peat, but still, they're still the dynasty. Do they deserve to be the favorites?
That's an interesting point, right? They have more stickiness than the Eagles. Last time the Eagles made the Super Bowl, they fell apart. So...
Well, that's where I was going with this. And, the Ravens I don't understand because the Ravens, we got to see this, guys. Like, the Ravens didn't make it past the divisional this year, Well,
I mean, the Ravens, though, are the one team, even more than your Bills. I think they're a better team than the Bills, up and down. Once they fix their defense, they should break through and beat the Chiefs at some point. So should your Bills, but the Ravens, I think, are better positioned because the Ravens traditionally have had a great defense. Last year, they were great at number one offense, and their defense fell apart. Yeah. So I think once they get both sides together, that feels like a team that should break through.
Yeah, but, we got to see Lamar do it. We got to see Josh Allen do it. Haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
As far as the Eagles, you just touched on it there. This is where I'm fully into celebrating Philadelphia. They deserve everything. They stopped the three-peat. They did it in style. It was dominant on both sides of the ball. But forgive me if I'm not going to go making the Eagles a dynasty. Because I do want to see how they handle success. And listen, what happens on the inside in terms of personalities and things like that is obviously very different from the outside. But some similar things are going to happen that happened after you lost the Super Bowl 2 years ago. First and foremost, you're losing your offensive coordinator. And Kellen Moore. Now, Vic Fangio is going to stay, and he's the god right now.
Nick Fangio.
Nick Fangio, his alter ego. I love Big Friendly. But Vic Fangio is going to stay, at least it looks like it. Kellen Moore is going to leave. And when Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon both left, obviously the Eagles found it a little tough to find new blood and new bodies to fill those 2 coordinator positions. But the most important thing about Kellen Moore is I think that beyond just calling plays, I believe that he served a very unique and important role in the Philadelphia Eagles, which is he was this sort of bridge, I do believe, between Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. Now, maybe Sirianni and Hurts have patched everything up. This was a report from August of 2024 that the two had a really unhealthy relationship and that Kellen Moore was kind of brought in to be the peacemaker. And you know what? Hats off to you. You did a great job, won the Super Bowl. Now he's going to go to New Orleans and be their head coach. Perloff, who can step in and make sure that relationship stays on the tracks? Because right now I don't trust that it's not going to get derailed just because they're not coming off of a loss, this time it's coming off of a win. It's hard to handle success sometimes, just as it's hard to handle failure.
I mean, you're talking about Kellen Moore. You're as if he's been there. Right? He just got there. They took him off the garbage heap after he was worse than Mike McCarthy in Dallas. Basically, he's floating around. They signed him for 1 year. He was there for 1 year, Maggie. He's not part of the institution. Like, how are we going to adjust without Kellen Moore? Okay, he's barely even a presence in the Eagles. They'll be fine. I'm not worried about that at all. I think they promoted 2 assistants last time. That was a mess. They tried to salvage it at the last minute. Honestly, any offensive coordinator could have won the Super Bowl. The defense won that game.
Yeah, see, I think there was another part of this that he was doing, and it went beyond calling plays. And
But explain then 2 years ago. So it was Steichen.
Yeah, and then he left.
Was he the translator before?
I think he was. And I also think that Steichen was the guy who said Jalen Hurts has to start running the ball. Remember?
Well,
and that's what helped them get to the playoffs that first season with Sirianni when they were 9-8.
Why all of a sudden you maybe Sirianni needed to light a fire under Jalen Hurts? Maybe Sirianni was right. I thought Jalen Hurts mailed in last season. He was either he was hurt or he was lazy. Like he just would not run. He wouldn't take on a linebacker. At a certain point, it destroyed the Eagles' offense. I think he was probably hurt. He was wearing that bulky knee brace. So maybe Sirianni was right. Maybe Sirianni should be tough on Hurts. Maybe it's all working. Maybe that's the thing. I think at the end of the day, you're just dismissing Nick Sirianni.
I'm not dismissing Sirianni. I just want to wait and see a little bit. I do, because they lost the Super Bowl and they were 10-1, and the quote was everyone was walking around like their dog died. And because they had lost the Super Bowl, they could not turn the page, even though they had this gaudy record.
But they looked bad in that. At the end of the 10-1, their defense was really, really taking on water.
Totally, and it's different now. But you want to know what? Challenges come up in a season where they were healthy. They got this unreal production out of rookies. Sometimes rookies, it's not a straight line all the way up, and you're going to hit some bumps in the road, and it's just inevitable. I'm just curious, how are they going to handle it, and if Nick Sirianni is actually going to be the guy to get them through it, because to me, he's a wild card too. And I know he's got this amazing winning percentage, and I understand that, but you know what? It's not exactly like he turned around the bad news Bears here. You know, he did have what we've learned and what was brought home Sunday with an exclamation point. This roster was awesome from top to bottom.
Right.
They were also healthy at the right time. We never even talked how they got Landon Dickerson back before the game on the offensive line. I mean, there was a lot of things that really broke right for the Eagles, and then they took advantage of it and played the game of the century. I mean, really a dominant performance.
Right, but they're so young. Like they do line up well as a dynasty because they're quite young. I know, and they have a lot of good salary cap situations. Like, yes, there's going to be Josh Sweat was going to be a problem to re-sign, but generally they have a lot of young players under contract, and they have these great rookies. So if you're looking at the personnel, aren't you thrilled? Jalen Carter's young. Cooper DeJean is young. Quinyon Mitchell is young.
Yeah.
The entire offensive line is young, except for Lane.
Yeah.
But Kelce's gone. They have 3 Pro Bowlers under 27 years old on their offensive line. Jordan Mailata didn't make the Pro Bowl, but he's probably the best left tackle in the NFL. They're young everywhere. Saquon is youngish, but running backs age quickly. But still, like, why would you not think that these guys are going to continue to play at a high level? So at least you have that same great roster moving forward.
Listen, the roster is fantastic. I'm not talking about the talent, but when you have young guys, it does also bring in a little bit more of that, well, how are they going to respond to the success?
Do you really worry about Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell? They seem like pretty normal guys.
No, but listen, before we all ever started talking about three-peats, remember how tough we were talking about it was to go back-to-back?
Yeah,
and how the New England Patriots were the last to do it in the early 2000s until the Chiefs did it. So I guess I'm just wondering now all of a sudden that the Eagles are going to be the team that's going to buck the trend and they're going to be a back-to-back team or even a dynasty team. I got to wait and see. I do. I have to see how all these young guys and Nick Sirianni handle the success.
But they're certainly, of all the Super Bowl champions of the last several years, they're just as in good a position as anyone. I mean, the Rams won the Super Bowl. They beat the Bengals, and Aaron Donald retired a week later. You don't put them as a repeat champion. This is one of the younger Super Bowl winning teams we've seen in a long time. They're very young. So just naturally, forget all that behind the scenes chemistry stuff. You can't predict that. If you're just looking at a Super Bowl champion, who has all their players back, except for, everyone's coming back. That's the problem with champions too. You lose guys. Who are they losing? Sweaty J. That's about it.
Sweaty J.
And, Lane Johnson, after you got him sick at the Super Bowl, maybe that was just too much.
Yeah, right. You're so lucky that I didn't shake his hand on Thursday.
Gosh, I'm just looking at the depth chart. Look at all the young players. Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis. It is Howie Roseman's killed it. So I think they're in a great position to repeat. Again, you told me this last night. I was shocked that the Chiefs and the Ravens open up as favorites over them. Weren't you surprised?
The Ravens, I was a little surprised. I think the Chiefs have a little house money, but the Chiefs are going to have a lot of decisions to make on their roster moving forward. We've been talking about Kelce all morning is just the tip of the iceberg.
Well, the Chiefs got killed so bad on Sunday night. That's why I was surprised. I'm like, people think next year the Chiefs are going to be able to beat this young upcoming team when the Chiefs are just getting older and older?
855-212-4227. If you're asking me, who do I think has like a chance to be the next dynasty? My gut, do you want to know where my gut took me?
Yeah.
Far away from Philadelphia. My gut told me that the next team that has a chance to be a dynasty, and it's a little because of what your Eagles are doing now, and it's a similar blueprint, would actually maybe be the Packers. Same type of thing. Younger team.
Green Bay Packers?
Yeah, listen, it's hard now because the Eagles beat them and definitely beat them in Philadelphia. But they're a team that I thought was going to be sort of set up. You have Matt LaFleur, gaudy winning percentage record, just like Nick Sirianni does,
Right.
Fantastic. I think, Jordan Love has an potential to be a top 5 quarterback. Young receivers, they can all grow together. Young defense and first-round picks who, need to gel and even more and show their might. Like, my first gut was, wow, the Packers have a shot. Maybe the Lions are losing both coordinators. Maybe they take a tiny bit of a step back. Maybe Goff is a playoff choker. My first gut instinct was Green Bay. Am I crazy?
I think Lions, but
yeah, I thought you were saying Lions.
Do you believe in Goff? Number one. And two, what is this team going to be like without Ben Johnson and without Aaron Glenn? Now, it's a Dan Campbell operation. He's the heart and soul. I get that. But it's hard when you lose both coordinators. Look what happened to your Eagles. It happened 2 years ago.
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. But I feel like the Lions are going to kick the Packers' butt. They're just so much better. No, once you get Hutchinson back in that mix, and you have the GM of the Lions is such a stud that I feel like he's going to give them an edge.
My question to you, Maggie, is it feels like, the Goff issues are, I guess, concerning, but it feels like the Lions with Hutchinson have a Super Bowl roster.
Yeah.
Do you think the Packers have a Super Bowl roster? It feels like they need to add more pieces, right?
I think they do. And I think they're set up to do that.
Okay.
And I don't know. They just feel like they would fit the mold. Now, they haven't done it yet, so I'm making a big leap here, obviously. But they seem like a team that could be set up to go on a bit of a run. We'll see. 855-212-4227.
I think the biggest challenge of the Eagles is not the Packers, but the Lions, because the question is what happens without Ben Johnson, but they have that line, that O-line.
Yeah, they do.
That's the thing. Like, I don't see, and maybe I don't really know it that well, but I don't see that Packers having that dominant O-line. That seems like the common factor of these dynasties, except for Kansas City, who keeps on rotating guys.
Perfect.
And they also, you need the star quarterback. So I guess that's a big issue too.
Who do you think is set up to be the next dynasty? Your Birds?
I think the Eagles are certainly the best setup team. Because those AFC teams kind of beat each other up.
Go Birds!
The Bills don't have any wide receivers. The Ravens, I don't know, but there's some fundamental element missing with the Ravens, and the Chiefs are getting old. So I think it's easily the Eagles. I don't know, how would we word a poll on this question?
Who's set up to be the next dynasty in the NFL? 855-212-4227. Maybe it's just as simple as that.
Yeah, put the Packers, Eagles, Lions, Chiefs, Ravens, Bills.
Or just let people
definitely
weigh
don't have
in.
7 options.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'll do as much as I can.
You can't, yeah. Okay, yeah. Just put a question.
Yeah, just put a question. Free for all.
I'm going to write in the Giants.
What year, Manny?
2037.
When Arch Manning is on his second contract?
When Arch Manning is 35.
There you go.
Okay, let us know what you think. Which NFL team is set up for the dynasty? Meanwhile, again, it's so hard to even go back to back.
Arch Manning.
All right.
I totally messed up. Donald did come back after the Super Bowl. My point was he was old. I just think nobody thought the Rams had like a one-off deal, right? Remember the Stafford deal? The Eagles are the opposite. They're all young and up and coming, and Howie Roseman on such a heater. Go Birds. Yeah, you do bring up good points. I was kind of defending my team. Maybe Sirianni can't keep them together, but if you just look at personnel, the Eagles are in great shape, right? These guys are studs.
They are good and ferocious on defense. How do they handle success? 855-212-4227. Coming up, this may be the funniest thing I've heard in at least 2 days. I could not stop laughing when I heard this piece of audio. We're going to play it for you next. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Daily. Do you believe that? Dion. You believe that?
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Pearl, you know we got to check in on our favorite college football coach, Deion Sanders. This is some of the funniest audio I've heard. I don't think you've heard it yet, so we're going to surprise you with it. But first, we got to take a bit of a time travel back to last week, where Deion Sanders on his show, We Got Time Today, yes, he has a show, along with being the head coach of the Colorado Buffaloes, was interviewing the Bella twins. The Bella twins from professional wrestling, Brie and Nikki Bella.
Oh, right.
You're familiar with their work? So Brie Bella tells Deion Sanders that he was her first celebrity crush.
It's actually middle school.
Okay.
And it was you, Deion.
Yeah.
You were my first celebrity crush.
Yeah.
You should have told me that.
You want to know something crazy?
How did that come about?
Yeah. Okay, so listen to this. So our grandfather.
Is this play or this for real?
No, this is for real. For real.
Okay, well, it caused trouble in her family because all her family were Eagles fans, like you, Pearl, so they didn't love that young Brie had a crush on Deion.
But my grandfather, full-blooded Italian from South Philly, so we're diehard Philadelphia Eagle fans.
Got you.
And it was very hard on my family because they're like, wait, she has Deion Sanders' Dallas Cowboy jersey. And the fact that you were my crush could have got me kicked out of the family.
Poster on her wall.
Go Birds.
Okay, so legit crush here. Brie Bella, Deion Sanders. This is a middle school thing. So now let's fast forward to Super Bowl Radio Row. Bella twins back at it. Deion Sanders, they're doing an interview. This is their show's called Nikki and Brie. It's on YouTube. And now here's Nikki Bella and Deion. And the flirting is hilarious. Just listen to the giggles and try not to laugh.
What's your favorite color?
Well, lately I've been into dark chocolate. So that's been like my thing, you know.
You've been dark chocolate, huh?
You know,
You've been in dark chocolate.
It's been the flavor of my season, let me tell you.
I understand.
You know, more to come.
Yes,
I thought you were going to
Lord.
say red.
No,
but
I like that dark
I mean,
chocolate.
red is like
She
my
said
favorite,
dark
but I
chocolate.
mean, everything.
Yeah, she said dark
I
chocolate.
like dark chocolate.
Yeah,
Even
let me
in my
see.
search, you'll
Hold
see
on.
dark chocolate.
That is, I feel like.
That is chocolate.
I love it.
Oh my God.
What is going on?
Feel very uncomfortable.
What is going on here? No? Oh, come
Wait,
on,
wait,
you
wait.
guys.
No,
Stop
that's
being
it?
like that.
That's
That's
it?
hilarious.
Oh, no, I thought it was hilarious. It was very weird.
The giggling, the silly giggling.
Wait, Deion's giggling.
They're all giggling, but yes, Deion's giggling. He's cackling like a jackal.
Oh my God.
To be 57 and have this kind of riz is crazy. But shout out to Deion Sanders. Man,
Unreal.
I would know nothing about this.
Man. And it's like, it's probably a bit or whatever, but the giggling, and he took the bait when she says dark chocolate is, I've just never heard a grown man giggle like that.
Oh my God.
Perloff, you seem unimpressed by the Riz.
I don't know. The setup got me all confused. It was funny, but you kind of like, yeah, that was good. I don't know, what am I supposed to do now? I feel bad because I wasn't laughing, but it's funny.
You don't think hearing a grown man, let alone Deion Sanders, the Inner Circle Hall of Famer, is giggling like a little schoolgirl, and he and Nikki Bella flirting back and forth with each other?
Do you believe that?
Oh, it's hilarious. It's cringy. It's funny. I just every part of it was just beyond hilarious.
The audio is hilarious, and it's the watch is also cringe.
Yeah, the watch is a little cringier.
Yeah, it's not even that. Nobody's embarrassed by it. Like they all. I mean, but it's just. It's like I feel like I shouldn't be watching this conversation. It feels like this should be happening in some back room or in some VIP suite.
Yeah.
This feels like this shouldn't be on a podcast.
And Bree definitely wants to get up and walk away, which
Yeah.
is funny because she's the one who actually had the crush on Deion allegedly in middle school, and now it's Nikki and just overtly flirting with him.
Oh, no, really?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's it. All right, well, forget it.
No,
I'm
I feel so
alone
bad
here.
now. I feel so bad. It's definitely funny. The setup put me. I didn't know what to. Yeah, the setup overdid it. It overdid it.
All right. Find me another grown man who's giggling like that and bring it to me.
Honestly, Nikki Bella would. I mean, that would make any man.
I gotta be honest. Here's a big part of the problem. You're like, well, you know the Bella twins, of course, and my face. Whoosh. I don't know who these people are.
Hey, well, it's okay. She only dated John Cena for like a decade, but that's
Who?
You can't see him, bro.
no clue. Anyway, I thought that was.
Are they attractive?
Help
me out here. Google 'em.
Get that cackle ready, Manny.
Yeah. So wait, and how old are they?
They're 41, I believe.
Oh, okay. So they're young, attractive women, and Deion. I got to set the scene. I didn't know you guys were texting about this, and I thought they were completely different people. I thought they were actors or something.
Well,
They've done a lot since, because they're technically retired, though. It looks like Nikki's coming back. So they've done acting, they've done reality TV, they've done it all, really, since their wrestling days.
I'm telling you, Nikki Bella and Deion Sanders as a power couple, now that would be something.
Wait, is Deion single?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, he is? Okay.
Yeah, he left the woman he was with. I think that was his fiance. I don't know what exactly their thing was, but yeah, they left during his first year in Colorado.
Oh, no.
It's all right, Perloff. People break up. They're adults.
See?
It happens.
A guy in retirement breaking up. Like, apparently that never happens.
Yeah, that was our question before about where are Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift going to make it if he retires. All right. I thought it was funny.
It's funny.
Deion giggling like a little school kid.
Again, it's Nikki Bella. I'm like, I get it. I get it. But the thing is, the giggling is great, but also it's that he has the riz to have the Bella twins also like that.
Mm-hmm.
It just shows you, man, there's a different level of cool. And Deion could be cackling like that, and it doesn't even matter. He's the man.
Oh, yeah, no, quick Google search. I'd be Googling, too.
Manny, you've never seen the Bella twins?
No.
Interesting.
No.
Deion is definitely.
I'm not the target audience.
No, Deion definitely. I agree with the thing about the Riz. Like, of course, people are into Deion. Like, he's a cult of personality, right? Like, that's not surprising.
Yeah, wait, I'm sorry, Manny. Manny, you're not the target demographic. You got a Y chromosome. You are the target demographic.
Are you serious? The Bella twins, Manny?
Yeah.
I digress.
There you go. Speechless.
I'd giggle.
No, I think Deion is a one of one. Okay.
Oh my God.
That giggle. That's so funny to me. Bogusch, what do you think? Am I wrong?
You're not wrong.
It's hilarious.
It's hilarious. It's a little weird. And Manny should know who the Bella twins are.
I mean, it looks like the three of them should, walk out with Deion in the middle, and he's got a Bella twin on each arm. Now, Bree's married.
Every time I hear the word dark chocolate, I just feel my skin just like, oh, don't say it again. Oh, they said it again. Oh, no, don't say it again. Oh, he said it again.
She said, check my Google searches.
Oh.
Manny's still scrolling. I can see from here.
Huh?
Yeah. We're on the third page of Bella twin photos. Bogues, what's going on today?
From Brunson and Hart to the Bella twins. That's how Manny rolls.
Huh?
Yeah.
He's still underwater.
Luka Doncic is still not 100% healthy, so only 24 minutes in his Lakers debut last night. 14 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and a 132-113 victory over the Jazz. LeBron, nice as always, let Luka be introduced last on this special occasion.
The amount of cheering there was in the arena was absolutely unbelievable. So I would say that was my favorite part, and to play again.
LeBron had a 24 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists in the Lakers' 6th win in a row. Back in Dallas, the Mavs did not have a good night.
The ball in the hands of Deebo. Drives to the left. 2 defenders there. Up fake. Splits defenders. Step through. Scores the basket. Kings lead it. 129-128.
Gary Gerald on Kings Radio. DeMar DeRozan soup with 2 seconds left in overtime was the difference. Sacramento a 129-128 win. Dallas now 2-3 since trading Luka. Also dealing with multiple key injuries. Kyrie preaching patience.
When we started off the season, we're all preaching championship. It's still the same echo, but when you have a big change, it's going to take adjustment period. And with all the injuries, that's an adjustment period. And you just got to take it one day at a time, man.
The Mavs also taken heat overnight for booting multiple fans out of the arena during this game because those fans remain mad at GM Nico Harrison for trading Luka. One guy mouthing "Fire Nico" during a karaoke bit on the Jumbotron during a timeout. Other fans had "Fire Nico" signs, and they were escorted out as well.
Yeah.
Already the worst trade in NBA history? Are we ready to go? It's the most lopsided. I saw the Lakers are the 4 seed in the West now.
Well, Anthony Davis might be dealing with a serious groin injury. I saw Brian Windhorst yesterday say now he's going to see specialists. He might need surgery if this thing keeps going terribly. They've got all these other injuries in their front court. I mean, it just dissolved. It was a terrible idea. It will never make a ton of sense.
Unless Luka is 300 pounds by October 1st.
Yeah, right. He's got to walk in looking like the whale.
Right.
And Jesus. The other thing, too, is about the fans and them getting kicked out. And I get it, you being drunk and unruly and screaming things. And I saw Mark Cuban was even going back and forth with some of them. But you know what? Like, you got to also understand what you just did to the fans. And I know it's a technical violation of NBA, whatever, in-arena codes that you can't hold up signs that are disparaging to the team. But I'll tell you what, "Fire Nico" is pretty tame, considering what they put the fan base through.
Yeah, and kudos to the guy during the karaoke thing who looks a little like Adam Duras from Counting Crows, but he's up there like pretending to sing. He's singing along, and when the camera light goes on, he just stops singing and goes,
Yeah.
right into the camera.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So,
I mean,
he
they're
knew what he
lucky
was
that
doing.
guy showed up. They're lucky anyone showing up to the games because the fan base just feels like they got torpedoed. So, I don't know. You got to expect a little bit of blowback here. And I don't like it when teams try to censor their fans so much and sanitize this away. Like, you made this happen and they're reacting.
Right.
Like,
you got to eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a wildly unpopular move, and the centerpiece of the trade that you got back is now going to be out for a month.
Because he
it's
always gets
unbelievable.
hurt.
Yeah.
I actually watched, don't ask me how I ended up, I watched that Kings-Mavericks game, and Kyrie is doing everything he can to try and salvage something out of this, and he's unbelievable, but they have no chance. Like, wasn't this supposed to be a short-term move to get Anthony Davis? That's what you told me, Maggie.
That's what I was told.
Yeah.
That's what everybody was told.
And that DeMar DeRozan is still the mid-range god. He was on fire last night. The West is insane. That's the other thing, too. Like, neither team is going to get out of this West. It's so brutal. So why would you give up your future for this year if you're the Mavericks? I'm going to go drive down after San Antonio. I'm driving to Dallas and fire Nico. I mean,
Good.
Well, they'll throw you out the arena, so you won't last very long.
like, how long do we need to call it the worst trade ever?
I mean, we forgot another small piece is that Daniel Gafford had to be helped off the court yesterday. So it was just another guy. So Anthony Davis, Derek Lively, and Dwight Powell, and then Gafford. Everyone on the front court's totally hurt.
And I think P.J. Washington didn't play last night either.
I mean, I think we're calling it the worst trade now.
Yeah, I don't think that's a big stretch at all.
I mean, the only way it's not is if Luka is out of the league in like 18 months because he's completely insufferable and overweight and falling apart. Which is like
no way that's going to happen.
But that's my point.
We were saying he's slightly overweight and putting too much pressure on his knees. We weren't saying he's the whale, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, guys, it's a little like sweet tea and maybe a couple Chick-fil-A sandwiches. Like, let's not get bent out of shape here.
And that's the problem because they put too much on that. They should have, if they really wanted to spin this, they should have said bad teammate, other issues. Putting it purely on weight and work ethic means all he has to do is just lose weight and show more work ethic. And then now this whole thing looks ridiculous.
Well, this is why
it's a very
I keep
easy
telling you
bar
guys,
from the clear.
I don't think that this new ownership group, and I tweeted it the day that the trade happened or when I woke up and saw it the next day because I was dead asleep. But I think that you have to point to ownership here. And what are they really in this for? What is the Dallas Mavericks ownership really in this for? Is it to field a championship team or is it to get a foothold in Dallas so that they can eventually have a casino there? Because I'll tell you what it's looking like right now.
But okay, and I actually am more into your conspiracy theory today than
It's
I
not
was
a
yesterday.
conspiracy.
Well, but why get rid of Luka if everything you described? They want a casino, so give away your best player. Why wouldn't you keep your best player to strengthen your bargaining position?
Don't feel like he's worth the money. Why do you need to field a 300? What was the max? 350.
350.
Okay, why pay somebody $350 when what does it matter?
Oh, I thought
all you want is the team, the real estate, the influence in the area, and maybe to try to use it as leverage and say, "Hey, we'll move the team or whatever." And I know that got debunked yesterday.
But they basically they're going to be end up paying somebody, right? I mean, their overall payroll is still going to be massive.
Well, not for a while, because where's the next generational guy they're paying? Not 350. Again,
well, it's not 350 in 1 year, but generally, they're going to have max guys, aren't they? I mean, there's no way.
Don't they have to max Anthony Davis the next time he's eligible to sign
and
something?
Kyrie's about to get a new deal.
But these are older guys, though. That's the thing. That you're not going to be signing those guys to those super maxes,
No.
even if it's the max for what they can get.
Right, but what are we talking? What's the difference? I mean, is it
like $100 million versus 350? I think when you're trying to get the biggest casino resort or whatever their stated plans are, guys, I think it's more about the casino than it is about the basketball.
I'm with Perloff with I don't understand how the casino is easier if they're a bad basketball team.
I think it's just they don't care what kind of basketball team they have.
Wait,
why pay Luka? They just want the foothold.
They have a salary floor in the NBA. Like your team payroll has to be a certain number, doesn't it? I think it's like the NFL. So like their payroll is still going to be. I don't think it's going to be massively different because when you sign those supermax, that means you can't sign the other guys. Like, I don't think there's a wide range in team payrolls.
I mean, I'd have to look at their salary situation, but I'm sure the Mavs would probably be in a luxury tax, maybe first
right.
apron
We're
situation.
talking about the apron, yeah.
If they signed Luka, which most teams would happily walk into because he's such a great player.
Right.
Where if you don't have to deal with that, again, that is cutting cost. It's simple.
Right. I forgot about the apron, but I mean, I still think like you're talking about a $200 million payroll versus a $250 million payroll. Is that really big money to these people?
I think you're underestimating it. I think it's a lot more than that.
Okay.
And
if
I think
you're not basketball people, then
what do you
maybe
care?
Yeah, exactly. Maggie's saying, what do you care?
And by the way, the fans are still showing up, even though they're upset. They're still showing up. I mean, and I don't trust these owners, guys. I don't think they're in it for the right reasons.
And I think the NBA, I mean, I'm sure Adam Silver has got to be livid. I mean, I know he's probably happy Luka's in LA.
Yeah.
But, like, Dallas is a good NBA market. That's been an awesome fan base. Since Mark Cuban bought that team, they sell out. The arena's awesome. Like, it's been an engaged fan base for 20-something years. And it was a fan base that was a disaster before that. They basically were almost not an NBA team for the 90s. They were terrible. So it feels like they're walking towards that era again of Mavs basketball, and you're losing a fairly big market now potentially if the Mavs do crater. It's not a good thing.
Folks, what else?
Other NBA action last night. Steph Curry, a season high 38 in the Warriors 125-111 win in Milwaukee. Jason Tatum at 33 in the Celtics 103-85 win in Miami, and the Cavs dumped the T-Wolves 128-107 despite 44 points from Anthony Edwards. Lastly, from the NBA, all now right in the world. Trae Young's an all-star, replacing the injured Giannis.
He had 9 turnovers yesterday and 8 assists. Not very good numbers, but continue, Bogusch.
Go back to your computer. And no surprise here, CC Sabathia will wear a Yankees cap and his Hall of Fame plaque. Billy Wagner going to Cooperstown as an Astro.
Can you believe Ichiro Suzuki's not going to be wearing a Yankee hat at Cooperstown? This is asinine.
I know.
Simply, and Billy Wagner not going in as a Met.
Any feelings here from Mets fans about that? I love the baseball. I think every sport should do this where the guys have to choose their team. Like NFL, that'd be great.
Saquon Barkley would go in as an Eagle, right?
Yes.
100%.
That might but in NFL, you don't get to choose your team.
No, I love it because it also would be like the behind the scenes thing. You know, it's if it ended badly with one team, but then you got treated like it would be very revealing if Darrell Revis went in as a Patriot, for example.
Wow, that'd be ridiculous. You can't
I'm
do
just
like
saying,
8
guys.
years to 2 years.
I just would want to know because how did the Jets? Well, they brought him back, but just for people like that, what really happened behind the scenes could be kind of fun.
Totally, but I think they'd be. You can't do 13 years and then 1 year at the end. Like Joe Montana can't go in as a chief.
The
Or,
ultimate bleep you.
Jerry Rice is a Seahawk or something. I don't even know what his last name. But yeah, so sorry, just to go back, the player has 100% say on.
No. The Hall of Fame does because of Wade Boggs. Remember when he signed with that deal with the Rays to go in as a Ray, so that changed the protocol. Yeah,
Thank you. Yeah, okay.
I think it was going to be a Devil Ray, actually.
Yeah.
Not even the current
But
Rays.
yeah, the Hall of Fame decides this, not the player anymore.
Do they have any? But don't they have some influence on it?
I mean, maybe, but I don't. But again, like you couldn't be Jerry Rice and go, I want to go in as a Raider.
Gotcha.
Like they always can overrule you.
Gotcha.
I mean, Juan Soto is probably going to be a Hall of Famer someday. That'll be interesting. It's got to be a Met.
I mean, if he plays all 13 years,
He better be. Shoot.
If he doesn't go in as a Met, something went really wrong.
I'm just looking at. I'm trying to think of your favorite team, the Mets. Which players will not wear Mets hats into the Hall of Fame? This could be
Thanks
a lot.
for asking.
Could be a lot of guys.
Well, what about Matthew Stafford?
I like this topic.
What if he could go in?
It's got to be. It's got to be a Lion. I think if you have.
Oh no, I disagree.
This is a good one.
If you have 12 years, I think you have to have an actual statistical number. If you play 75% of your games in one team, you have to go in. I would
literally
put that rule.
making this up on the fly.
Yeah. You can't have 12, 13 years as a Lion and go in as a Ram.
But here's why, though.
Super Bowl MVP.
I would
with the
argue that
Rams.
his Lions career did not make him a shoe-in Hall of Famer. The Rams part did. That's why I think he should go in as a Ram.
I hear you. I would counter. I'm more of a longevity guy. I think that would give you the edge. I totally understand your argument, but Matthew Stafford has to go in as a Lion. Again, they
Poll
don't
question?
do it for the NFL.
Yeah. 855-212-4227. They should do this in other sports so we can argue about it. By the way, did you see Aaron Judge had a baby? Other Yankee news.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
First, it's daughter, Nora.
It's a good name.
They put a picture of her feet. Okay. Lots more to do.
Smaller than Maggie's.
For now. Although if Aaron Judge is your dad, she might join me one day in the husky section of the footwear. It's just the big and tall.
Don't you just go to the men's sizes?
It's just the ski section. That's what we call shoes.
I'll take a size 9. Yeah, sure. Men's size. Oh, wow.
Yes, I'm 13 years old. Can you point me?
No, not sneakers, sir. I need flippers.
Yes.
What are those tennis rackets you walk under in the snow?
Oh my God.
I'll take anything, really. Put me to the Bozo the Clown section. That's
Pizza box.
basically where I have to shop. Okay. Coming up, lots more to do, including we have some news for you coming out of the Bay Area. So we'll get to all things 49ers next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The Defensive Player of the Week is sponsored by the Navy Federal Credit Union, who proudly serves the Armed Forces, DoD, veterans, and their families. Their members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. Okay, if you listened to the show yesterday, we all know who Maggie Gray picked. That, of course, it was Milton Williams, your guy.
MVP snub, Milton Williams from the Philadelphia Eagles, the interior lineman, had a sack and also forced the fumble on Mahomes.
He looked amazing. But now,
they didn't say his name.
I do not want to publicize him. Apparently, he's a free agent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and everyone's saying he's going to get the Javon Hargrave deal. Remember, Hargrave had a killer year for the Eagles so he's gone. That's really annoying. Josh Sweat, also a free agent, also Defensive Player of the Week possibility. And then you had Cooper DeJean and Zach Bond with the interceptions. I'm going to go with Josh Sweat. And by the way, if you didn't do football and you did basketball, EJ, I'm going to be really mad.
No, I think
you're
EJ
going to be mad.
Really? You didn't do the Super Bowl for defensive?
What's your guess, Maggie?
All right. I'm going to go with, you said Josh Sweat.
I'll go Josh Sweat,
I'll go with Cooper DeJean. I mean, he had a pick six on Patrick Mahomes. A rookie baited the second greatest quarterback of all time into a pick six in the Super Bowl.
It's the Player of the Week. Can we make Vic Fangio or Nick Fangio, as he's now known, as a choice?
Nick
sure.
Fangio.
Nick Fangio. Love you, Big Friendly. Who is it, EJ?
Behind this glass, we celebrate exciting whites.
Back goes Mahomes. He's rushing. He's looking. It's intercepted. It's intercepted. Running with the football to the 25. Down the far side is DeJean. And DeJean is in for a touchdown.
Happy birthday, Cooper DeJean.
Cooper DeJean with a pick for a touchdown.
Cooper DeJean is the Navy Federal Defensive Player of the Week for his pick six on Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Sure enough, the day of the Super Bowl, I am about 65% sure that I saw Cooper DeJean's grandparents in the elevator as I was leaving the hotel, because we were crossing the Eagle Hotel. They were elderly folks. They were both wearing Cooper DeJean jerseys. I just assumed that was his grandparents. Forgive me if they're not. But to get that kind of play on your birthday, your family in attendance, rookie,
Birds.
his first interception for his career was that play. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. I think it really put the game really on ice. I kind of felt like at that point we kind of knew this was going to be a long day for the Chiefs. So Cooper DeJean is the Defensive Player of the Week.
And once they also went 3 and out after that, once the Chiefs just could not answer after that pick six, You know who doesn't get any credit, and they actually had a huge pass breakup in that game, is Avonte Maddox, who got replaced, right, by Cooper DeJean, and DeJean took his starting spot. What was that, like midway through the season, Pearl? And he actually made a huge play. Everyone came through on the Eagles' D.
Yeah, Avonte also a free agent. So Milton Williams, Josh Sweat, and Avonte Maddox are free agents. So I'm glad you're not publicizing that. Maggie's Milton Williams love is a major problem here.
I feel like I should be his agent. I'm like, why didn't anyone mention that he went to Louisiana Tech? Like, we can't get anything about this guy's making these huge plays in the Super Bowl.
He's been good all year. He's really good. I agree. Like, he did not get enough pub. When you have like that many defensive stars, it's hard to. Zach Bond could have been easily your guy too. It's hard to publish. Who's also a free agent.
Love me some Bond.
It's kind of annoying. Actually, remember I said the Eagles were set up for a dynasty, and now we're losing all these guys.
Listen, that's what happens with the success. You're gonna have guys who end up leaving. Sean is in Oregon, wants to talk for a moment about Luka Doncic, who made his debut for the Lakers last night. Hey, Sean.
Hey, you guys. I'm stoked about this Luka thing to the Lakers. But you guys are asking him to do something that nobody's ever done before. So at the age of 25 years old, when somebody's successful at anything, I've never seen them change their body type. I've never seen somebody go, oh, yeah, well, I came in here and I played ball, and then now you want me to change my body type just because you say that I'm not good enough. And
that can't be. Wait, Sean, that can't be true. You're telling me no NBA player has ever changed their body shape after the age of 25 and gotten in really good shape? That's Charles Barkley
not after
did.
They've been successful. Not after they've been called one of the best.
Barkley.
And we had a guy that we hired one time, and the boss wanted him to lose weight. I said he was fat when you hired him.
But Charles Barkley got to Phoenix and lost 40 pounds.
That's so mean, Sean. You said that about a real person, real life, not like an athlete?
Oh, I hold no punches back, and I was sticking up for the guy. I'm like,
Wait, Sean, sorry, not to get too personal, but do you have to have a certain body type to do the job that you do?
I have a very athletic job, and I'm a very athletic person. I get up 4:30 in the morning. I'm in the water. I do like a mini triathlon.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. If you were just pushing papers, I don't know why it would matter if somebody had a couple extra pounds on them.
What are you, a wide receiver for the Oregon Ducks?
No, I'm a commercial painter. I do commercial industrial painting. I work with iron workers.
Okay.
Local 209, baby.
All right. Listen, Flex, I just can't believe you actually said that about somebody. Okay, that's fine. We learn something new every day, Sean. Listen, is he gonna get in shape? Here's my thing about Luka. And Sean, thanks for the call. Good to hear from you, pal. He just made the finals. And he didn't play he wasn't awesome, and I understand that. But you know who else wasn't really great in their first finals? Durant, Westbrook, and James Harden. Now, Durant ended up going on to actually win titles with the Golden State Warriors. I'm just saying your first time in a finals, it doesn't mean that's how you're going to be for the rest of your career, right? Like
LeBron was terrible in the finals.
Yeah,
right, the first time you win.
Yeah, by the way, I didn't get your analogy, though. You're saying he's going to go like Harden, Westbrook, and never win, or he's going to be better in the finals?
No, I'm just saying those guys are all Hall of Famers, right?
Right,
and I think that you showed the talent to get there, even when maybe your body isn't in the perfect shape. But it doesn't mean that you can't get back. It doesn't mean that you can't have a great career. It doesn't mean that you can't be a champion. I just don't buy that, right?
Oh, well, I mean, if that's the case, then don't bring up Harden and Westbrook.
I'm just saying, guys.
I think Harden was one of the fears of the Mavs, too. I think they're like, Luka and Harden are two of the most similar players I've ever seen in my life. And I feel like they're like, this guy's going to win a ton of regular season games, but it's never going to get over the hump.
But see, I would argue that it's been the opposite with him.
He already got to the final.
Right. He's been a better postseason player than he's been a regular season
player.
But
Harden had a lot of success in the playoffs, too, but never really got over the hump. The Mavs
Harden is one of the biggest playoff chokers that we
big
have.
Game 7 choker, yeah.
Game 6 and Game 7s.
Yeah, but he generally, look at how many playoff games he's won. He's won a ton. I mean, he took the Rockets to the Western Conference Finals. The guy's been in a lot of playoff games. I just think they're very similar. I think the Mavs got to the finals. Things really laid out well matchup wise this year. I think last year. I think they were a little bit ahead of where they should have been.
And by the way, we keep using James Harden like he's a 4-letter word. If you have a James Harden, you're going to be in playoffs every year. You're going to compete for championships. It's not the worst thing in the world.
It's the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, you guys will never agree on James Harden.
And you like Vince Carter. Give me a break.
I just also think the Luka thing. maybe it's being a little overblown. Maybe the Mavs are really looking for a reason to justify this trade, and they don't want to say the quiet part out loud, which is they just didn't want to pay him.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Super Bowls change lives. That's just how it goes. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, and it looks like the early frontrunners for lives that have been changed the most, Perloff, from the winning side of this are Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, the quarterback and the head coach. Quarterback wins Super Bowl MVP, saw pictures of him and video of him in Disney World. I can't imagine getting on a ride like that after you've been drinking for 24 straight hours.
Yeah.
Have fun on that Batman ride. Whoa.
Oh my God.
And whether Jalen Hurts now gets into that top 5 quarterback conversation, and Nick Sirianni, I think, is the other guy who's had his life changed in his perception, his reputation, everything with this Super Bowl win and taking down Andy Reid and the Chiefs.
You're right. He did make it to Super Bowl 2 years ago. So does getting to the Super Bowl and losing not do that same thing?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
And not saying it was fluky when they got there 2 years ago, but no one really knew who Sirianni was. You know, there was an idea that he was a product of the assistants, that he's this product of Howie Roseman, the general manager. This idea that he was just kind of this blank slate of a guy. Then we got to know him a little bit. We got to see some of the downs, and now he's back on the upswing. And it was just such a crushing defeat. You know, the team was better prepared. The game plan was better. Everything about the win was so thorough.
What are you talking about?
For Sirianni this time around. I think that's
see.
what's helped his reputation more than anything. It was just a full throttle beatdown of the dynasty of this era.
Well, I mean, I think there's one thing. The last time he had newbie assistants, like there is a theory that Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore won the Super Bowl. So that takes away. But here's the point. Like Sirianni, I think we're always looking for reasons to downgrade his success. That's for some reason, I think it's his personality and his press conferences. Everyone is always looking for reasons to take away from Sirianni. Even after this win, you're going to hear it. There's going to be people who say, oh, that was just Fangio figured out the Chiefs. I kind of like, for some reason, I think Sirianni will say something weird in the offseason and we'll go back to, oh, he's not as great a coach as we think.
Okay.
I just think that's the cycle.
Can I pose a theory to you?
Yeah.
Is it possible that this is a little by design for the Philadelphia Eagles? I think that there was a moment, and you got to go back with me a little bit, where Howie Roseman at first, many years ago, seemed to lose a power battle to Chip Kelly. And he got pushed to the back, and Chip Kelly got pushed to the front. And Chip Kelly won 10 games, but ultimately flamed out in Philadelphia, and Howie Roseman came back, right? And ever since then, even with Doug Peterson, winning a Super Bowl with a backup quarterback never became bigger than the front office, right? And it never became Doug's show, even though Doug was the head coach, called the epic play, or technically Nick Foles, I guess, wanted to do Philly special. He's got the statue outside the stadium, but it always feels like it's Howie Roseman's operation. So some of this I feel like is a little by design to keep the coach kind of cycled out or minimized as much as you can minimize an NFL head coach. And I think this is the front office doing this on purpose.
I can absolutely buy that. Yeah, they're definitely a GM-run team. One thing, I think Peterson, legacy-wise, was everyone thought that was Andy Reid's team and that Peterson was an Andy Reid creation. So I think he had the shadow at that point was Andy Reid. It wasn't Howie Roseman. But now Sirianni is in Howie's shadow. Howie Roseman has emerged as this genius GM. Back then, the first Super Bowl, we didn't really think of it Howie Roseman the same way, right?
I don't know. I mean,
because he had come off where he lost, he got fired, basically.
Devoted.
That was Andy. I mean, it was very, very strongly Andy Reid's team in 2017. It was all his players.
The question is, because you beat Andy Reid, because Sirianni beat Andy Reid, does that now mean that he's on the same level as Andy Reid? Is he now one of the top coaches in the NFL after winning the Super Bowl in this way?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he'd probably be top 5 highest paid for sure.
Okay, highest paid, that's fine. But in terms of if you were starting a franchise and you needed a head coach, we do this with quarterbacks all the time. You're starting a franchise from scratch. Who would you want? If I was starting a franchise from scratch and I could have any coach right now, how far down the list would you get before you got to Nick Sirianni?
Well, let's look at it. Who are the obvious names?
Sean McVay.
But McVay might not want to coach that long. That's a big problem with Sean McVay.
Well, that's not this exercise because
But
you
of
always
course
say
it's not the exercise.
No, whoever talks about retirement the most, you said, is always the guy who never retires.
No, but everybody believes McVay burns out because McVay's so intense.
But we can't get into the hypothetical of that, right? Like, let's just say because of his age and his success that he's going to continue coaching.
Okay, so
we can't read Sean McVay's mind. I'm asking, if you were going to start a franchise right now, who would you want your coach to be? And
okay.
I would get, I think, a little further down my list before I get to Nick Sirianni.
I'd go McVay, Shanahan. I mean, are we counting the fact that Andy Reid is talking about retirement? You're starting a team.
I'm starting a team, and I want to win the Super Bowl in 3 years.
Well, okay, you're not doing Andy Reid, right?
I definitely would put Andy Reid before Nick Sirianni.
If you're starting a team, but I mean, okay, but the shape, of course, if you're starting a team, you're not picking Andy Reid, right?
Okay, let's get the exercise straight here.
But you're not picking Pete Carroll. You're not picking Bill Belichick. Like, that's I think the point is, like, Nick Sirianni's this young up-and-coming coach. Like, he's the hot thing. Like, yeah, he's definitely higher than the old guys.
You're talking about age, and I'm talking about acumen.
But I also think that that's important, though. I think that age is a reason why Nick Sirianni is so, like, he's at the peak of his career right now. I think that's sort of, I think I know what you're saying, but like Sirianni's like a 44-year-old coach who is really like coming into his own.
That's great. I'm asking for the next 3 years. I'm not saying the next
Yeah,
decade.
right. No, I think like honestly, you saw it on like, I think he is the guy right now. Yes, I think kind of like Shanahan, McVay, all these young coaches are out coaching the old coaches. In the next 3 years, they're all going to get him.
Okay, so where would Sirianni be on your list?
So I would go,
you need a coach.
I go McVay. I go Shanahan. I honestly, I think Reid's at the end, so I'm not going to put him there. I'm sorry, even though with your rule. Then I would probably go John Harbaugh, Tomlin. Then am I missing some big guys here?
I mean, I'm putting Dan Campbell.
That's why. What's the difference between Sirianni and Campbell?
Well, Sirianni technically has had more success than he is,
Yeah,
but I would go Campbell.
That one is a little okay. Even if I gave you Campbell.
You're a big Zach Taylor guy.
Was it? No, Taylor's kind of on his way out, right? Like he barely.
Sean Payton is a name you forgot.
Says who?
Okay, this is your list.
Yeah. If I could start a team right now, I might take Sirianni. I know Sirianni could get fired any day now, by the way, but yeah, I mean, come on, Sean Payton's a retread. I mean, Sean Payton, Pete Carroll, yeah, Hall of Fame coach, Andy Reid. Those guys' times have passed. There's a new generation coming in coaching, and it is a bit of a young man's game. Will you give me that?
No, I'm not going to give you that because I just saw Pete Carroll get hired in the cycle. Now he's going into a Raider team that needs a lot of work, doesn't have a quarterback. This is nothing like what the Eagles are set up to do.
Yeah, I definitely take Sirianni over Pete Carroll.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Listen, I'm getting pretty far down the list here because I'm going McVay, Shanahan, Reid, Pete Carroll, Mike Tomlin, John Harbaugh. I like Dan Campbell, Sean Payton. This just sounds like it's disrespect to Nick Sirianni, but again, I got to see how this dude handles success. I do, because I just watched how they handled failure last year, and 2 years ago, pardon me, and it felt like the team fell apart. You know, he couldn't handle himself publicly, yelling at the fans back and forth, fractured relationship with Jalen Hurts that, to his credit, seems like it's been completely mended. But I want to see what it's like when Kellen Moore's not in the building anymore to potentially be that airbag. And, listen, Sirianni, full credit to him, he does have this very impressive, winning percentage. And I know you talked about it last week. I know you wrote about it for Athlon that, he has one of the best winning percentages in the entire NFL. But, if you just went by winning percentage, then he's got a better winning percentage than Andy Reid and Jim Harbaugh. Oh, I forgot Jim Harbaugh. I put him on the list too. Do you think that he's actually a better coach than those guys? Or has he been blessed with this really great roster?
It's just he's just very different. I think the one thing about everything you said, yelling at the fans, like that passion translates to the team. So that's you could argue that's a plus, right? Like he's just so into it, and the team is so into it. And I think that's what happens, like coaching like Sean Payton and Jim Harbaugh and all these guys and Pete Carroll. Like I'm not sure they're going to be able to recreate the fire they had at their peak. I don't think it's a guarantee that's going to happen. Yes, of course, they're football geniuses, and Sean Payton's a great coach, and he might have one great run here in Denver. But I just don't. I think honestly. I think Nick Sirianni's passion translates to the team. And I think also he obviously is a relationship guy. Like the reason he got hired was this little video where he's working with wide receivers, and to watch him work one-on-one with players is impressive. He happens to be like, people are saying like he's a football savant too. He knows he has the plays memorized like McVay. Like he just doesn't show that part. So I think there's a lot going on with Nick Sirianni that we just don't have access to.
Yeah, I think sometimes passion can also be immaturity. And when you're not winning, it looks like you're kind of being immature. Like, if I'm an owner of a team or I'm a fan of a team, I need my coach to be taking the high road. I can't have them yelling at the fans in a game against the Cleveland Browns. Like, that's just it feels beneath you, right? I'm not saying the fans are beneath you. I'm saying jawing at them, and taking your energy and attention in that way, to me, just seems immature, not passionate. But to be fair, like, it worked, right?
Well, I mean, the players obviously love that stuff. If you have a choice between the fans and the players, one thing I will give you, Sirianni, like logistically, let's talk about that passion. He chewed out the officials bad after the A.J. Brown bad OPI call. Eagles got the next 3 calls. Yep. He was on top of that, to his credit. Like, being crazy sometimes help. I'm thinking like some of the all-time great coaches, like Mike Ditka was a madman. Early Sean McVay was a madman on the sideline. Shanahan can get crazy. Like I think some of this stuff with Sirianni, he does flirt with a line of like what's going over the edge in a bad way, yelling at fans, and what's good passion. I think there's a lot. And Jim Harbaugh, by the way, is totally an intense dude.
Yep.
I think some of this intensity and passion could be a good thing that is misconstrued as bad because it get the team all galvanized.
Yeah, it's just you got to be careful because when things are all going right, it's great. When they're not, and especially in a town like Philadelphia, I think it can turn on you. Let's go to Phil, who's in Pennsylvania. Phil, congrats to your Birds, man.
Thank you very much. Absolutely wonderful. I was actually no adrenaline, no nervousness. I was completely cool, calm, and collected all day Sunday. Even throughout the game, I didn't jump up and cheer and was happy. I was just, fist pumping. It was just a business trip for Philadelphia and for me too. I was able to summon that cool, calm, and collected.
Unreal, man. Well, I'm glad it was no sweat for you, and your Birds made easy work of the 2-time defending champs. It's got to feel great.
It really does, but now this puts Hurts in a class all by himself when it comes to versus Mahomes. I think he's the one true rival to Mahomes. He's one against him in the playoffs, and actually a 2-1 record overall. So, what quarterbacks in the league have a winning record against Mahomes?
In the playoffs?
I don't see any.
Josh Allen does in the regular season.
1-1 in the playoffs, but they won in Kansas City Monday night last year.
What's Josh Allen's record in the regular season against Mahomes?
Well, what does it matter? He can't beat him in the postseason.
It's overall.
Phil.
Well, he doesn't have a winning record in the postseason.
Is Jalen Hurts the true rival of Patrick Mahomes? You've given us something to think about.
They already played in the Super Bowl twice, and the thing is, they're both really young. We could see it once or even 2 more times, and I think there's only been like a Super Bowl matchup between quarterbacks only twice, so they already tied that within 5 years. If there's a couple more, it might be the greatest all-time AFC versus NFC quarterback if they continue along this track.
It's interesting, Phil. You're giving us food for thought because my first thought went here. Is Eli Manning the true rival of Tom Brady? Because he beat him twice in the Super Bowl? No, Peyton Manning was Brady's rival because they faced each other so many times in the AFC. I don't know if I go along with this that Hurts is his true rival. Hurts might, is
on a lower level, Peyton was, but on a higher level, the Super Bowl is the highest stage. They're 1-1, and that counts as a rivalry, not all one-sided. It's back and forth, back and forth. That's a rivalry when you don't know who's going to win.
Pearl, what do you think? Jalen Hurts as Patrick Mahomes' true rival?
Nah. They're just so different, right? Mahomes is like the one man.
I was ready to give you back your Philadelphia fan card today, but with that, I think I'm going to keep it for a while.
But they're just so different. Like, they have different roles on the team, though, Phil, right? Like,
it doesn't matter. They're one person in an entire team.
Well, I feel like the Chiefs have to put everything on Mahomes' shoulders, where Hurts is different. But I understand what you're saying. Hey, On the similar theme, do you think Nick Sirianni is an Andy Reid rival right now? Like, what did you think of that conversation we just had about Sirianni's place in all this?
There's not enough information. I mean, he has only been around for 4 years, and 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 ring. That's a great start, but there's just not enough information. I mean, Reid has 30 years of experience. He only has 4 or 5, so it's just not. It's too early to tell.
Because I would argue, by the way, it is similar to the way Hurts is dueling Mahomes. Like, Sirianni's probably gotten the best. I think he kind of outcoached him in the first Super Bowl. Like, the Eagles should not have been leading that game. So I think if you're going to make Hurts a rival with Mahomes, which you make a great point, then I think Sirianni's right there with Reid. Like, honestly, Sirianni's outcoached him twice.
Hey, Phil, I've got a question for you. Are you going to the parade on Friday?
I'm not. I have work. I was actually called down to D.C. yesterday for work, but that's why I couldn't call you guys yesterday. So, yeah. But I'm back here now, so, yeah.
I thought you lived in Erie.
Birds.
Phil. I do, but I have to go down there sometimes.
Okay.
Listen, you could travel. This is it's hopefully not once. It's not once in a lifetime. You guys, I don't have 2 Super Bowls, but you make the effort for the parade, Pearl. I didn't even ask if you're going.
I'm definitely not going. How far is Erie from Philadelphia?
I'm not in Erie. I'm in Central PA. Erie's
Erie's
I'm only a couple
Cleveland.
hours from D.C., a couple hours from Philly, but I have work, and I can't get off. It's too early for that. So, yeah, and plus I don't call sick. I'm a good worker.
I actually, I'll be honest.
Shot at me?
I don't love championship parades.
Thank you, Phil.
Have you been to a couple, Meg?
I have. Well, I mean, you guys can make the obvious joke. Not to watch any of my teams.
You've covered them.
I've covered them.
Not to watch the Bills, right?
Thank you, Manny. No, but I've covered a couple. Just working as a journalist here in New York. The second Giants Super Bowl.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I'm a little scared of this Philly parade, based on some of the footage I've seen.
Yeah, this is how it always feels like it goes with Philadelphia crowds, okay? And notwithstanding the serious and tragic thing that happened after the NFC Championship game with that young Temple student who fell from a pole and passed away. But it always feels like the first reports are glowing. Everyone happy. This is awesome. And then you start getting some other videos kind of trickling out. I saw a video yesterday of a woman with no shirt on fighting like 3 guys.
That video was crazy.
Sounds about Philadelphia.
What happened to her shirt?
Only God knows. I have a theory on this.
Did she have shoes on? It was bizarre. Go ahead.
I have a theory that the wildest fans at these celebrations are actually not real fans. Like, they're like casuals. Like, I don't think that if you're that delusional and crazy about your team that you actually really know your team.
Well, you're adding about what? Somewhere between 15 and 35 drinks into this situation. I don't know if you are your right mind.
I'll be honest,
That low?
This is Philadelphia. I don't think a lot of those people need alcohol or anything to do what they were doing. Like, because I feel like when I meet the craziest fans, I don't think they really know the team. I think that their identity is just, I'm crazy.
I do think people see an opportunity,
right?
Where it's like, all right, there's going to be a little lawlessness, and I have a penchant for that anyway, and I like chaos. Like, I'm just going to go be part of the mix.
I guarantee you, your least knowledgeable conversation about the Eagles among Eagles fans will come from people that are climbing poles and like taking traffic lights with them at home. They don't really know. They don't know a 3-4 defense from their ass.
Yeah. I'm wondering, is the person who's going crazy and wild, it's like, oh, no, I'm also a 25-year season ticket holder, Section 208.
They're overcompensating.
What's that?
They're overcompensating.
Yeah. What do you think, bro?
Yeah, that makes sense. But I will say a Philly crowd is super drunk. I mean, hardcore drunk. There's so much drinking in the parking lot.
Yeah. Well, and unfortunately, that's kind of just the NFL, I think, in professional sports these days.
Or fortunately.
Yeah, depending on your view. If everyone can keep it tight, though.
Who dresses in the Mummers outfit this year?
Kelce.
Oh, he just comes back?
Yeah, he was wearing one in New Orleans. It was kind of a New Orleans Mummers combo.
Can he do that, though? I mean, he was talking about how devastating it was to see Travis get lose like that. I'll be honest. I mean, I'm not an Eagles fan. I don't know if I'd want him around. You can't be waffling about whether or not you're happy that we kicked the Chiefs' ass and then come back and wear your Mummers outfit and be like, Lane Johnson's not on the juice. The Eagles are the best. I don't need to hear that from you.
Wait till Friday. You're going to hear that from
Jason Kelce's basically going to be the MC of the event.
I'm not sure Jason Kelce knows he's not on the team anymore.
I don't think so either.
Can we please have the mayor come out and just botch the spelling again?
Yeah, she should do it again, right?
Maybe it's good luck.
Go Birds!
855-212-4227. Okay, Sirianni, Jalen Hurts, are they now top of the league in terms of coach and quarterback because they won the Super Bowl in such dominating fashion. Up next, we didn't get to it yesterday. We were too busy. The M&P 500. Whose stock is up? Whose stock is down after a huge weekend?
E-L-G-S, Eagles! Go Birds!
Oh my God.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The M&P 500 on the Infinity Sports Network.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Every week we do M&P 500. Stock up, stock down across the sports world. All right, get us started, Mag.
Okay, my first stock up is going to go to an 80s and 90s pop and R&B legend by the name of Bobby Brown. You remember him? New Edition, married to Whitney Houston, whole thing. Well, apparently his song My Prerogative was one that the Eagles, Perloff, had been playing throughout the season. Let's hear it.
My Prerogative? Yeah. Manny, did you not know My Prerogative?
No, not familiar.
Oh. What year was this? Like 89?
I'm assuming it's like 88, 89. Big stock up for Bobby Brown. My Prerogative. This is a song from my childhood. My brother and I used to play this on tennis rackets that we were pretending were guitars.
Nerds.
Totally. And EJ and I had a thought about this. Is that a timeless sounding song? To me, it sounds very 80s / early 90s.
I just feel like any cookout I go to, My Prerogative is getting played. So
yeah, I thought My Prerogative was like a Motown song, like everybody knew it. Like
it's not like My Girl.
Well, I just think like
I know that one.
I thought it was close to that kind of song. I thought it was timeless. I didn't realize like Manny would have never heard My Prerogative. That's funny.
Yeah, I thought this one was a little bit more in a time capsule, but I love it, so I'm glad it's back. Stock up for Bobby Brown and the song of My Prerogative.
Any relation to Millie?
That'd be something.
By the way, I don't think Manny knows the Motown songs either.
I know the Temptations. Don't.
I don't know. You definitely have a recency bias. Okay, can I take a shot with my stock up?
Oh yeah.
This is to EJ and the Jets fans. Stock up Aaron Rodgers, dude. Thank God he got out of this town and away from that team. I can't believe that they're just letting him free.
Me neither.
If he wants to come back, that is a big if. I don't think we've gotten any real reporting on whether it's a definite. But, I mean, come on. Is there a possible worse situation than another defensive coordinator taking over as a head coach at this franchise that kills quarterbacks? He is following in Brett Favre's footsteps. It feels like finally he has a chance to do something.
So funny. You and I are in lockstep
agreement
about this. No, I wasn't going to do it for a stock up, but we're in lockstep agreement, and we'll get into this a little bit more throughout the weeks and whatever. I don't see why the Jets are turning their back on this guy. You have
you've been saying that.
Other good options.
He's going to be a different player next year because he's going to have a second year with that leg. I mean, it was 100% health the first half of the season, in my mind. I know there was obviously some personality issues, but he couldn't move. He looked terrible. He was limping half the games.
Well, what I would really love to know, and I'm sure we'll get some reporting because the Jets are the leakiest organization in the NFL, and it feels like every time someone farts over there, we get a 2,000 word expose on it. But so we will get this detail. But apparently they did go to him and say, you need to stop we'd like you to stop doing the Pat McAfee show. And I'm curious if that was the line in the sand.
The Jets said that.
Yeah.
I did not see that.
Yeah, so we'll see.
I can see why the Jets would say that. It's a lot of publicity for a quarterback.
Completely reasonable request from the Jets side of it.
Right,
totally reasonable.
And I can see why Rodgers would say, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, see, I think that would be petty on Rodgers' part. Like, are you a football player or are you a media member? Like, are you trying to just put McAfee over so hard as a friend and a good friend? And I like McAfee, but if you want to play football, be a football player.
No, but Rodgers is different. I mean, the guy was
the authority and no one telling him what to do.
Yeah, he was almost a vice president. Another thing, like if you're a 40-something-year-old football player, the team doesn't tell you anything. The team's not telling Tom Brady what to do. So he might be like, I've earned the right to do whatever I want. I could see that.
Yeah. We're going to argue about Aaron Rodgers because I know EJ's couldn't be happier that the door can hit him where God split him.
Well, I don't hate it for the Jets, but honestly, like if he goes to the right place, it's going to be 35 touchdowns next
Don't
year.
be a freaking weirdo.
Okay, if the stock goes up, that means the stock's got to come down.
What do you got?
Well, I think for me right now, the stock's got to be down on everything Dallas Mavericks. I mean, it just can't get any lower, can it? Anthony Davis is hurt now for a month. You just made this horrible-looking trade where you shipped a star player out of town. The fan base is ready to riot. People are getting kicked out of the arena left and right yesterday because they're holding up signs saying fire Nico. I'm beginning to wonder if this was even the general manager, actually, was this his idea? Did ownership say we just don't want to pay this guy? I don't know if we've heard the last of what really went down here. And just the Mavs, if this was a short-term solution, well, now they're all injured and banged up, and doesn't look like a championship is happening this
Well,
year.
even if they didn't want to pay him, they could have possibly gotten more in the offseason, right?
Totally. Everything about this is reeks.
No, I think Nico loved Anthony Davis and thought he was a championship player.
Then he should be fired.
Well, I think Anthony Davis is a championship player. I think he's a great player, but the health that we talk about a lot is just way too risky. I think Kyrie Anthony Davis is obviously a very intriguing duo, but there's just, you've been pointing out consistently, there's no way they're staying healthy.
Well, here's the thing, though. You might be in love with Anthony Davis, but then you have a blind spot as a general manager that is not doing your team the best service. Are you working for Anthony Davis or are you working for the Mavericks and the best possible thing for the Mavericks? Because if you don't call any other team to shop a superstar like Luka to see if you can get a better deal, then you are not doing a service to your organization. You're a bad GM.
Yeah, but sometimes coaches and GMs fall in love with certain players. Anthony Davis, all their points about Luka were somewhat valid. He doesn't play defense and he's a ball hog, so that's not a championship formula either. Anthony Davis is a sick defender and a very efficient offensive player. That wins championships. We've seen him win a championship. Sure. If I had a 27-year-old Anthony Davis without an injury history, I would do that deal in a second. That problem is that player does not really exist. Okay, my stock down. Since I'm in the shot-taking mood, the Buffalo Bills and Baltimore Ravens could not beat that Kansas City team.
Nope.
If Buffalo could not beat this Kansas City team that I saw against the Eagles with receivers who were slow as molasses, we're talking Andrew Bogusch slow. Hey, Bogusch. We're talking Andrew Perloff.
Oh, yeah, didn't see me come in.
Honestly, I could have walked down the field and ran some patterns for the Chiefs because they had the Eagles defenders glued to them. This is the most non-talented offense they've had in this run, and the Bills couldn't beat this team. So I'm starting to wonder, are they a Super Bowl quality team? I don't think so. If they couldn't get out of this year's playoff with this was it. But I don't think the Bills have the team. So I was actually thinking, I'm like, oh man, I think I called you and said, I can't believe Buffalo couldn't beat this team.
Yeah, I think that if we're going to turn this into a Bills conversation, and how did they lose to this Chiefs team? The answer is simple. The Bills did not have a Super Bowl caliber defense, and they didn't have an AFC Championship caliber defense. That's the problem. And I think...
Well, I don't think they had a Super Bowl. I don't think they had the weapons on offense either.
Well, I don't know about that, but I think that they definitely didn't have the defense, which is why the day after they lost, I said they need corner. They look what happened with the Eagles. You're right. You got help at corner. You shored up your linebacker positions. Your safeties were great, and your pass rush was awesome, and you were dominant. So that's where the Bills have to go back to the drawing board.
I think the Eagles have a big coaching advantage over the Ravens and the Bills, too. I think the Chiefs coaching staff knows they can dominate those two coaching staffs, and the Eagles. They're not
psychological.
They're not as familiar with the Eagles either. I just think the Eagles kick their butt. Okay. Do we? I guess we want to pick this up later. I know you have a bunch.
Yeah, we'll save some Super Bowl winners and losers, which is kind of like a second cousin of stock up, stock down. We'll do that in just a little bit. But Andrew Bogusch is here with the latest.
Guys, we did not get the full LeBron-Luka experience last night in L.A. Doncic limited to 24 minutes in his Lakers debut, playing for the first time since Christmas when he suffered a calf injury. But J.J. Redick still liked what he saw.
Hey, it's good offense. We're getting good offense. And certainly as you review film and you start building out your database of things within this new group, you can start to look where you can create advantages consistently.
He should host a podcast.
Don't give a
the Lakers.
Man, who are we going to have to apologize more to as a coach this year? Nick Sirianni, for people who doubted him, like me. I thought he'd be the first coach fired. Or if J.J. Redick wins a championship with this Lakers team.
Oh, my God. Handles
the egos, figures out the X's and O's.
I really don't give a.
Nick Sirianni, for people who doubted him, like me. I thought he'd be the first coach fired. Or if J.J. Redick wins a championship with this Lakers team. Oh, my God.
I mean, well, the Sirianni apology is already happening.
That's true.
Yeah.
Right.
So JJ
Will it be a bigger apology for JJ Redick?
Probably, honestly. 'Cause I think at least Nick Sirianni was a head coach. Like JJ Redick was a podcaster.
Yeah.
And so there was way more, I guess, what's the word, scrutiny, I guess, or skepticism about what he could do as a coach.
And he almost got, the job taken out from under him by Dan Hurley at the 11th hour.
Right. I mean, and this scenario that we're talking about is pretty much as likely as Taylor Swift dumping Travis Kelce for Manny. What are we talking about here? We're going to
Damn.
We're comparing Nick Sirianni just won a Super Bowl, and we're talking about JJ Redick.
I'm saying we'd have to eat crow. This is what I'm saying.
We all just caught strays from Perloff in the last 3 minutes.
We'd have to eat crow if...
This is what happens when his team wins the Super Bowl. He's just high on, I don't know, cheesesteaks.
Told you guys
We'd have to eat crow if Utah went on a 40-game win streak and won the NBA title. What if this is the hypothetical that we're already at the hypothetical? What if J.J. Redick wins the title? How did we get there?
They just got the top 3 player in the league, Pearl. It's not that much of a stretch.
They won 6 in a row. They're 32-19. They're a good team. I mean, they're a good team. I don't know if they can win championship.
Show bet? Anyone want to go there with me?
Come on now.
I don't know. You're comparing J.J. Redick to Nick Sirianni? It seems fast to
be
me.
fair, like that seems applicable just 2 weeks ago. Nick Sirianni and J.J. Redick. It was not like Nick Sirianni's not like Vince Lombardi, okay? Like
at least I know what J.J. Redick does.
No, that's true.
I'm
complaining,
sorry, folks. Back to you.
I really don't give a
The Lakers won this game 132-113 over the Jazz, extending that win streak to 6. Luka didn't need to play in the fourth quarter, finishing with 14 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists. LeBron chipping in with 24, 7, and 8. The Hornets, meanwhile, reportedly considering how to respond to the Lakers canceling the Mark Williams trade over the weekend. Charlotte might ask the NBA to nullify the Lakers' decision to fail Williams' physical. Now back to last night. The Nuggets win streak is 7 after a 146-117 romp over the Blazers. Nikola Jokic scoring 40. Victor Wembanyama, 31 points, 15 boards, 4 assists, and 3 blocks. And the Spurs 131-121 win in Washington.
Wembanyama?
And it's been mentioned this morning that Trae Young committed 9 turnovers last night against the Magic. Oof. He also did this.
Trae will bring it back out. Still plenty of time. 12 on the 24. He shoots a 3, and he's got it. Trae Young, at the right moment, hits a three-pointer, his first of the night, and the Hawks lead by 5, 104-99.
Steve Holman on Hawks Radio. Trae, 19 points, 8 assists in a 112-106 Atlanta win. Hours after he was named an all-star replacement for Giannis, Kyrie Irving taking the spot vacated by Anthony Davis.
He shot 1 for, that was his only three-pointer of the
Men's
night?
top 25 action last night. Number 6, Houston downed Baylor. No, they did. Houston won 76-65. Number 23, Clemson hammering North Carolina 85-65 after beating Duke over the weekend. UCLA remains a unanimous number 1 in the AP women's poll. Notre Dame replaces South Carolina at number 2 this week because the Gamecocks lost at Texas Sunday. And let me introduce most of you to the Bean Pot, an annual hockey tournament featuring the 4 Boston schools. Last night, the final. It's kind of a big deal.
Here's a turnover. Eisman coming in the backhand. He scores! Cole Eiserman, the freshman, scores his 16th. And it's a 2-goal lead for BU.
And now we're apologizing to BU head coach Greg Brown for doubting him. The highlight from Nesson, Boston University beating top-ranked Boston College 4-1 to win this title for the 32nd time. Yes, Perloff.
That wasn't a shot at Manny. I'm saying Manny has a chance with Taylor Swift after she dumps Travis Kelce because he retires and she only wants to date active players.
So it's a shot at Maggie.
No. It was a shot at. Oh yeah, for the. Well, I was mad that my guy Nick Sirianni wins a Super Bowl, and all of a sudden you're comparing him to J.J. Redick. I'm like, this guy, he's proven success. J.J. Redick has done nothing yet.
Listen, I'm just calling it like I see it. I said, who am I going to have to apologize to more?
I know. It just felt like all of a sudden. Because you know how I feel about J.J. Redick as a head coach in the NBA. Not optimistic.
Well,
but to be fair, though, I mean,
he's doing well.
Yeah, you would have to say that he's exceeded expectations, though.
And
he's got LeBron.
They literally just got Luka.
And Luka.
Like, now he's got to manage egos. Oh, by the way, one small detail, Bogusch, you mentioned it, I think, last hour, but want to follow up. So last night, Luka makes his debut with the Lakers, and apparently LeBron said, like, is there anything, like, be you. Don't feel like you need to fit in, fit out. And somewhere Kevin Love pulls his hair out.
I know.
He's like, you said that about me all these years ago as a diss. But anyway, He said, well, why don't we have you be introduced last, right, in the announcements? And so he got this loud cheer. Do you know that that's the one and only time, though?
Of course.
Yeah, so LeBron gave it to him for a night, but that's it.
Wait, what do you mean it's the one and only time? Is that confirmed, or is that because that's how it should be every night?
No, I think we're back now to LeBron being last. This was a one-time deal just for the debut. That's how I read it. Now we'll have to see.
There's no way LeBron is not being introduced last.
That's what I think. He's not passing the torch like that. The symbolism would be too big.
I mean, I'm not saying you
I
guys
want
are
my
wrong.
damn respect, too.
I'm not saying you guys are wrong. I'm just saying he clearly ain't the best player on that team anymore.
Well, that might be true, but it's like, what an invitation, or so I don't know what that is. It's like, here, you can have it for one night. You'll get introduced last and get the biggest cheers, and then I'm going to take that back.
LeBron's so weird.
All right, if the season
Why
ended
can't he
today,
just be normal?
He can't.
If the season ended today, just so we're talking about JJ Redick, he'd have to get through the Rockets in the first round, the Thunder in the second round, and the Nuggets in the third round. So that's why I'm thinking, like, they are a good team, but like to get out of the West, you have to be a super team. And is that what we're talking about? Are they in that conversation already?
I think the sky's the limit now with Luka. If he's
Really?
motivated and he and LeBron can gel together.
The Mavs were not a super team last year. They made the finals.
Yeah, because the T-Wolves happened to knock off Jokic. I mean, I don't know. It's just, is there enough defense on this Lakers team? I feel like they're not a real title
So
threat.
the Nuggets have Westbrook, who you hate. So I don't know how much you
by
love
the way,
them.
he kills them.
Memphis, okay, you don't love Ja, and you don't love Shea. So like, who do you want to win? Who do you want to win the West? I feel like you don't like any of these teams.
It's actually so funny to think about. I'm like, wow, EJ thinks that there are 9 teams who are going to win the West and win the NBA title. You know, one of those teams. Who's your one team?
I think I've been very consistent. I think the Oklahoma City Thunder are the best team.
Sean Gilgeous-Alexander.
And I keep telling you how great Shea is. You keep telling me he doesn't pass.
Sean. But then you just told me that Luka and LeBron are going to win the title.
They've played one game together. Can we see him play a little bit
I
longer?
don't know because I know that there's no defense on that team.
Are you worried that JJ Redick's coming for Nick Sirianni?
No, I just don't think the Lakers
touched
are
a
a
nerve with you.
serious contender. I feel like, and people are talking about them like they are. I don't see it at all.
I mean, I was with you, but I've seen them play really good basketball over the last month, and they just added the best one-on-one scorer in the NBA. Like, I mean, I can't
which will
ignore
take
them.
away from all that good basketball they've been having because now the ball will just stay out there with Luka, and all those other guys will take a step back.
Well, let's see what happens.
Yeah, let's see, because he's playing with LeBron James, a different dynamic. I think the one thing that's different is he was playing with essentially nobodies for the last 4 years, right? Like, I mean, he had Jalen Brunson as kind of a backup guy, and then he finally got Kyrie this year. Like, let's see him play with another superstar. Like, I don't know what his game. Maybe his game changes. We don't know.
You just said Kyrie and Kyrie.
Right, 1 year.
And they went to the
NBA Finals. But I keep trying to tell you, you keep bringing up Jokic losing. Like, it's somehow like he allowed them to walk right to the NBA Finals. He got beat. Like,
I actually was thinking, at the Lakers at the trade deadline last week, I was like, oh, they got to add a lot of like front court defense like the Mavs did last year.
That's their problem.
I feel like they're a little bit.
Well,
they're
they
just
tried, and the trade got nixed.
Yeah,
from Mark Williams.
Which was their own fault. I mean, they're the one who nixed it. Now we don't know why, but.
Yeah, I just think like they're a little thin defensively. Like I don't take them very seriously because like LeBron and Luka are amazing offensive players, but Nico Harrison was right. Defensive players win championships.
Oh my God.
855-212-4227. Even giggling Dion agrees. Folks, thanks so much. Coming up top of the hour, we're going to talk with Ike Reese, of course, former Eagle, now hosting afternoons on WIP. Get his thoughts on the Eagles' big win. And we've got more from San Francisco and some shakeups coming to the 49ers. We'll get to that next.
You're in a 5-minute break.
This is Daly. I'm out here. And Cap, I think you're great.
Down in Music City, there's a man named Jay. He's tuned in to Maggie and Perloff every single day. Life's been a battle, he's been losing for years, but now his motto's clear. No more losing tears. He's been down, he's been low, but now he's ready for a brand new show. Jay's got questions, can't let it slide. Who's running the YouTube on the Infinity side? Jay in Nashville calling out the crew. Who's behind the curtain? He demands demands the truth. Peter Bummelotti's ghosting, no work in sight. But Jay's got the Maggie and Perloff show to make it right. Make it right. Been a loser so long, my losing's all gone. Tapped out my bad luck, it's time to move on. From his couch in Nashville, he's solving the case. Infinity's mystery, he's all over the place. He's got theories, he's got plans. Is it Moose or Perloff behind the cams? And Bellotti, forget it, he's MIA. Jay's the one who's showing up today. Jay in Nashville calling out the crew. Who's behind the curtain? He demands the truth. Peter Bummelotti's ghosting, no work in sight. But Jay's got the Maggie and Perloff show to make it right. Make it right. Jay's turning his luck, rising up the ranks. Infinity answers, he's storming the banks. Bellotti might miss it, but Jay's always there with a sharp-eye question and a comfy chair. Jay in Nashville calling out the crew. Who's behind the curtain? He demands the truth. Peter Bummelotti's ghosting, no work in sight. But Jay's got the Maggie and Perloff show to make it right. Jay in Nashville, he's taking the stage. From loser to legend, he's turning the page. Infinity's mystery, Bellotti's no show. Jay's the real MVP of the Maggie and Perloff show.
I got a little out of control. I'm sorry, Andrew Kaplan. I got a little out of control. I'm sorry, Andrew Kaplan.
Yo, Danny in the chat saying Captain's got a plan, but let me set the record straight. Ain't no wires in my hand.
Zach, yeah, black and Ryan's gone static. Steppenwolf's frozen, it's cinematic. But Maggie and Perloff, that's dream beat magic. Clear as the day, got a feeling ecstatic. And not the villain, but just a goat. Infinity Sports, running in my notes. Taylor, you tripping, I'm pressing these buttons. Ain't my fault that Bellotti ain't rushing. Kaplan ain't crashing, Kaplan ain't stopping. My stream's so smooth, man, they...
Hey, Robin, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. My name is Robin from San Francisco, not San Fran. I know you sports people do that.
Did I say San Fran? I think I said San Francisco.
No, you said San Fran. That's what set me off to call you. The name of our city is San Francisco. The second thing I'd like to say, okay, we hate that. We locals hate that. The name of our city is San Francisco. Unless you were watching a different game than what I was watching,
yeah,
I think that 2 runs that Brock Purdy had something to do with them advancing and winning this game.
Robin, I said he used his legs and his scrambling kept the comeback alive. I think you kind of have an axe to grind with me beyond the Brock Purdy.
I have an axe to grind to you. No, I don't have. Don't project to me. I'm telling you what I heard and what I.
Okay, well, the first thing you said to me was, "Don't call our city San Fran," like you were wildly offended, which I don't even know if I said that.
I'm offended. I am offended by it because
that's insane to be offended by that.
Such a smart aleck. Bye.
I'm not a smart aleck. I just don't want to get a. I think she kind of had it out for me a little bit before we even got started there. San Fran is offended. Did I even say San Fran?
I don't know if you said, but I'm with Robin.
Hey, Robin, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. My name is Robin from San Francisco, not San Fran. I know you sports people do that.
Did I say San Fran? I think I said San Francisco. Welcome back. Still unpacking more from Super Bowl 59, but Perloff, we got to pause on the San Francisco 49ers for a second because while we've been focused on the Eagles and the Chiefs, a lot has happened with that franchise who, you know, were the biggest challengers to Mahomes just last year and then before that. So here's the latest of what's going on with the 49ers. Number one, they've given Deebo Samuel the permission to look for a trade. Now, that's not that surprising. The problem is Deebo still makes a lot of money. This was a big contract that the 49ers gave to him. And so it's possible that, you know, they're going to really have to maneuver this thing and maybe draft picks might have to be attached to it or whatever team wants to take on, let's call it what it is, diminish Deebo Samuel, more of a gadget kind of guy, different part of his career right now, doesn't have the speed that he used to have. but still could be a weapon for somebody. Do you see a good fit out there?
No, I would not. For the reasons you just said, I would not take Deebo Samuel unless. Let me ask you something: was he really just very injured last year?
Possible.
If there's a possible rejuvenation, because he hit that wall, he would be one-on-one with a player on the outside that he used to run around no problem, and he got caught every single time this year.
Can I give you a good team that I think he could at least help?
Right.
Can he not help the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Oh, my God. You're going to make the Steelers receiving course slower?
You know what? I'm going to try to give them a playmaker. How about that?
Yes. Get a playmaker. Not Deebo Samuel.
I think there still could be something left. I don't like you're talking about teams that were so obviously offensively deficient is what I want to say. And I think that Mike Tomlin is the type of coach that can actually handle Deebo. Like, that's the other part, too. Deebo's going to say what he thinks. Deebo's going to get into it with the long snapper. Deebo's going to, he's a bit of a personality. So I think, pairing him with a coach like Mike Tomlin could be good. I
agree with that part, but they so desperately need to stop being a possession-type slow team. They need a playmaker.
See, that's your wish for them.
Yeah,
I think
but
this is how they want to play.
Basically, Deebo is a slightly shorter Cordero Patterson at this point. Like, you need a guy who can take the top off the defense. Like, don't make them more conservative. I don't want him to have your best wide receiver taking handoffs. Get him down the field. Please don't do that.
The other thing for the 49ers is the owner, Jed York, reiterated that they want Brock Purdy long-term, and the reports are that they are actually starting the negotiations now. I love this for the 49ers. Now, you and I can argue about Brock Purdy and where he is in the quarterback rankings until the cows come home, but you got to get this thing done fast. You cannot have another contract extended negotiation that creates a cloud over the team.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. And you've been consistent about that. You didn't like the way Ayuk was extending. But I will tell you, partly, you have to be fascinated. What would Aaron Rodgers look like in this offense? I'd be curious because Shanahan and Rodgers have flirted in the past. It's not going to happen, but that would be kind of cool. As a football experiment to see Shanahan and Rodgers do it for 1 or 2 years, it would be neat, but definitely not happening.
No, and why would you
You can't. If you have Purdy in the house, you're not going to do. But I do think that I'm very fascinated with Kyle Shanahan. Like, how much of it is Purdy? How much of it is Shanahan? I'm a fan of Purdy, but I do think that that's an issue. I mean, that's definitely like when you're sitting in the negotiating room, the Niners are going to say, Matt Schaub threw for 4,800 yards with Kyle Shanahan. Like, why am I paying you top market?
Well, then this thing is not going to get over with quickly because they're not getting out of this with a Baker Mayfield contract. As much as you want to put that there, and other people say, "Oh, just give him $40 million." Like, I'd take $40 million. Well, you're not. You're not swimming in the water that Brock Purdy is now swimming in, and he could even take an air quotes like discount. He might not reset the market, but he's getting $50+ million a year.
But you definitely want him closer to Tua than Dak. Like, Tua is right around 50. Dak's like 56. So I think, and into his shorter term, I don't think you don't want to be the highest on the market. Do you think he'll be the highest paid quarterback?
I don't think he's going to reset the market, no, but I think he's going to be top 5 when it's all said and done. And I think it's definitely $50+ million a year.
Right. Will that be top 5? Well, that probably won't be top 5, but it depends. I don't think you can give him that full thing. You got to say, listen, you got to come down just a little bit. Because you need talent around you. They have a lot of mouths to feed there in San Francisco. And they definitely have leverage, right? I mean, it's not it's not.
Okay, but hold on.
Yeah.
They have leverage because he's under contract. Like, they don't have to do this year. It's just after the 3rd year, you're eligible to do this kind of extension. And he's making like $500,000 basically. So he's way, way underpaid. But no, they have the leverage, like, technically. But look at the landscape out there. And look at when you try to find free agent quarterbacks for teams. EJ's Jets. Talk about the New York Giants, Manny's Giants, if they don't end up drafting somebody. Let's talk about the Cleveland Browns, but I think they'll probably draft someone. Let's talk about what's going on in Tennessee, although they have the top pick, so it's their choice. You want to talk about if there's a setback in Minnesota with J.J. McCarthy. Do you want to talk about the Raiders who need a quarterback? What's going on in Seattle? We have so many teams out there who could be looking for quarterback help, and there's just not enough guys to go around.
Yeah, but Shanahan's different. He's already, he could bring in Cousins, had Shanahan. Darnold had Shanahan. Like, he doesn't need, it's a totally different calculus in Tennessee who needs someone to build around. Shanahan can could dominate with
I
Kirk
know,
Cousins.
but I don't want to pay Sam Darnold a king's ransom. I'm not paying Kirk Cousins. I might as well just pay Purdy. That's where I think he actually does have leverage.
Well, I think that I don't think that sounds nice in theory, but they are going to say, hey, we could just bring Sam Darnold back and bye-bye.
Ike Reese, former Eagle, afternoons on WIP, going to join us next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
The two people who had the most to gain in the Super Bowl, well, they knocked it out of the park. Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni. Perloff, we're talking about your Birds being Super Bowl champions, and I think those are the two guys specifically who really changed their legacies, their reputations. I mean, not to sound over the top, their whole lives changed with that Super Bowl win and just how dominant it was.
Oh, it's funny. You could also point to the guys who made a lot of money as well, though. I mean, Josh Sweat hitting free agency after that performance, Milton Williams. So there are a lot of guys who got a lot out of that Super Bowl. But just remember 2 weeks ago we were debating Cam Newton said his MVP was more valuable than the Super Bowl. Anyone still feel that way now?
Oh my God.
Yeah, definitely not. All right, let's go to Eagles headquarters, shall we? And that would be our friends down at WIP in Philadelphia. Ike Reese is a Pro Bowl linebacker for the Birds and is now a host on the afternoon show with Ike, Spike, and Fritz. And Ike, Maggie, and Perloff, thanks for getting up early for us, and congratulations on your Birds, man.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, Maggie, Andrew. It's a great time to be a card-carrying Eagle fan. It is a great time to be an Eagles fan right now. It's that was amazing Sunday night. That really was.
When did you know, Ike? When did you know? When did you finally say, all right, they got it?
Oh, after the Cooper DeJean pick six. When they went up 17-0. You know, I'm not saying the game was over at that time, but that's when I started to believe, like, the Chiefs may not have an answer for what's going on, because their first few drives before that ended in, 3 and outs? I don't even know if they had a first down for a good portion of that game early. And it just seemed like Patrick Mahomes had no time to go through his reads and make throws. I thought the Eagles' defense would shine in this game. I didn't think it would be that dominant of a performance. They were lights out Sunday, that Eagles defense.
Ike, I have a simple question. Did Patrick Mahomes play poorly?
Yeah, but it's for a reason. He played poorly because the Eagles defense played so well. You can play poorly by missing throws, missed opportunities, bad plays that are a direct result of his decision making. I didn't see that happening. What I saw was the Eagles defense was just so smothering that he didn't have anywhere to go with the football. His skill position guys, and I thought this would be an issue for Kansas City, they lacked that explosiveness until late in the game where Xavier Worthy caught a couple of deep passes. But prior to that, the Eagles secondary and linebackers, they stuck to these skill position guys like flies to a fly trap. And Patrick Mahomes, his offensive line, couldn't hold up. I mean, to get that amount of pressure without bringing any type of extra guys, any blitzes, to just do that with just your front four. I mean, the Eagles were able to sit back in zone coverage, seven players, and Patrick Mahomes had nowhere to go with the ball. He couldn't work his magic. So I think he had a bad game, but it wasn't because Patrick Mahomes isn't the great Patrick Mahomes. It's just that's how great that defense was.
Ike Reese is joining us, afternoon host on WIP. Ike, Spike, and Fritz does a fantastic job and is a former Eagle and a Pro Bowler for the Eagles and knows this team inside and out. And, you said that you thought the defense would play well, but not like this. Like, which unit overachieved, in your opinion?
Who overachieved?
Or who played better? Who were you not expecting to have such a good game? Okay.
Well, the D-line, I didn't think the D-line would be as dominant as they were. Like, to me, they controlled the game. The Chiefs basically gave up on the run game. And once you do that as an offense, you're basically signaling to the defense, we're one-dimensional. We're just going to drop back. And so now all that defensive line had to do was pin their ears back and just get after Patrick Mahomes. And that's what they were able to do. Honestly, the secondary looked like they had a pretty easy job for most of the night because he was under so much duress, and he had to come off of his first and second read. Josh Sweat made a lot of money in that game. Milton Williams made a lot of money in that game. So, yeah, those guys up front, I thought they controlled the entire game.
So Saquon Barkley really never got off in the Super Bowl, but the attention they gave him, how did that help the rest of the offense?
I think it was the key. It's what we have been talking about all year, that if you're going to load up to stop Saquon, then there's going to be opportunities on the outside. And this isn't the first team that's tried to load up to stop Saquon. There's been a couple other teams that did that. And Jalen in the passing game has been able to take advantage of that. So give the Chiefs credit for saying we're not going to let Saquon beat us. But I'll give the Eagles and Kellen Moore a ton of credit for not abandoning their game plan. Saquon still ran the ball 25 times. Like, he still ran the ball a ton, only for 2.5, 3 yards per carry, but they stuck with it, which meant the Chiefs had to respect it the entire game, and that allowed Jalen to connect with Devontae, AJ, Jahan Dotson. Like, that allowed Jalen to do what he did, throwing the ball down the field, because the Chiefs, they were committed to not allowing Saquon to have big runs.
Ike Reese is joining us afternoons on WIP. It's just one big party in Philadelphia right now. The parade's not till Friday, Ike. Are people going to make it? You people are going to be crawling to that thing.
Well, that's what I said. I said, man, they pushed the parade all the way to Friday. I don't know if everybody's going to laugh. It's I guess, a double-edged sword, because after what I saw Sunday night on television to like 2 a.m, we need a few days to recover from Sunday night. So at least by the time we get to Friday, everybody should be recharged and ready to go for a great parade.
It's going to be like the 2.0 version. By the time we get to Friday, everyone's going to have to, get a disco nap and then get back out there. Let's talk about coaching, but not from the Nick Sirianni part, at least first. I want to talk about Andy Reid, because you played for Andy, obviously, when you were on the Eagles and you guys went to the Super Bowl. Were you a little surprised that, A, the Chiefs, seemed to come out kind of flat, and 2, and you'd know this better than we would with your trained eye, was Andy trying more things, and what happened? Because it felt like Coach was a little flat-footed in that Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was a little surprised. I haven't had a chance to rewatch the game yet to see exactly what was available to them offensively, because it seemed like every play for 3.5 quarters just was out of sync. It just seemed like either Patrick was trying to escape the pass rush or he was being hit as he was throwing the ball. So I don't know how much of the play designs weren't very good as much as the execution part there. Like, not being able to block up front can just throw off everything you're trying to do. It really can. So, I got a ton of respect for Big Red. Still love him. That's still my coach. He can only call the plays. The players have to go out there and execute it. I don't really think Sunday was about him being out-coached as much as it was his players they were out-physical. The Eagles are just a more physical team on the defensive side of the ball, and I think it just threw everything off they wanted to do offensively. Defensively, I didn't think they played a terrible game. They never got any complimentary football from the offense, and they were just out there too long. Like, the Eagles pretty much had the ball for 35, 40 minutes of that game. So it was almost as if the Chiefs' offense was never really on the field.
Ike, how long do you think Andy Reid will continue to coach? He addressed possibly, he said, I'm coming back next year. He's 66. Yeah. Does that mean that we're talking short term, maybe 1 or 2 more years?
I don't believe so. I mean, hell, if Patrick Mahomes was my quarterback, I wouldn't retire until he retires. So, yeah, I know Sunday night was disappointing for a lot of Chiefs fans, but, man, they still got a good thing going on over there. And I think as long as his health allows him, he enjoys the game. I think he enjoys coaching. There's a teaching aspect to the game that he still thrives in that environment. And having Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback certainly sparks energy in you to get up and want to coach. So as long as he's healthy enough to do it, Coach is not one of those guys. I don't think he's going to TV. He's not. He doesn't golf. So I don't know what else he would do other than coach. So as long as he still can do it, I think he's going to patrol the sidelines.
I think we all know Ike. It's 2 beef patties and some extra cheese. Ike Reese joining us just for a few more minutes. Sorry, the Nuggies. Anyway.
No, I mean, listen, that's what he likes. Yeah.
Yeah, we can all tell. Here's the one thing for you, and again, thank you for doing this. I'd love to know what your Eagles text threads are all like right now. I'm sure everyone's just going bananas, but our producer EJ had brought this up, and I think it was a good point. You played on an Eagles team that went to a Super Bowl and lost to the Patriots, and Donovan McNabb and Terrell Owens, had a relationship that, at least on the outside, I seemed a little bit dicey at times. The fact that Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown, who may have gone through similar kind of, sticky moments, obstacles, if you will, the fact that they've been able to get past it and win a Super Bowl. I mean, someone who saw close up with T.O. and McNabb, how much credit do you give to A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts for putting everything aside and getting this win?
Yeah, I mean, listen, whatever that perceived issue was with those guys, and I think really when you're a wide receiver, you only get so many opportunities to impact the game, and it can be frustrating at times when you're not getting those opportunities. And if you got the talent and skill level of an A.J. Brown, I can certainly understand where he's coming from that viewpoint. And from Jalen's viewpoint, he has the job as the point guard to distribute the ball everywhere and not lock in on anybody, but make sure the offense is running efficiently. So I say all that to say winning cures a lot. And when you got that championship ring on your finger, you're willing to look past a lot of things. And I certainly will give those 2 guys credit for being able to get through whatever rough patches they had to get through in order to get to this ultimate goal. But I'd be remiss if I didn't give Nick Sirianni a ton more credit, because he's the guy who had to keep this thing steered in the right direction. I'm pretty sure he's had a lot of intimate conversations with both guys individually, together, and you could throw Devontae Smith in there as well. Devontae is not as animated at times as AJ can be, but Devontae is a very highly talented guy as well who wants to see the football. So I'm pretty sure those guys got frustrated at times, but I think Nick Sirianni did a great job of keeping his locker room together and having these guys. Sometimes you got to be sort of refocused and redirected and understand what the ultimate goal is. And I think Nick Sirianni deserves a lot of credit for being able to keep this team on the right track.
I don't think nationally people really understand Nick Sirianni. And I think people don't even know, is he a good coach? What would you tell people who ask that question?
I think he's an outstanding coach. I think we have perceptions of people and we want to put them in a box. But it's funny to me how some guys can have the same job description that he has, and they are praised for being great leaders. One of my former coaches, John Harbaugh, who's on the track to be in the Hall of Fame, he doesn't call plays offensively or defensively, but he falls under that term of the CEO head coach. Mike Tomlin is another guy, falls under the term of a CEO head coach. Everybody loves Dan Campbell. What's so different about Dan Campbell and Nick Sirianni? 2 guys that are very animated, whose players love them, who wear their emotions on their sleeves. But again, their players love them and will run through a brick wall defending them and playing for them. And people on the outside had that perception of Nick. And I understand it. Sometimes it's not conventional. It's not what we're accustomed to seeing from our head coaches. Listen, there's things he's done in his tenure here that I didn't necessarily agree with. Jawing back at opposing teams' fans. Hell, jawing back at our fans. Like, that's just stuff you don't usually do as a head coach. But there are far more good things that he does that outweighs those little quirky things. And the thing that I actually love about him is that he's flexible. He's not rigid and stuck in his own ways. I think he's tried to become a better leader, a better coach, and a better communicator, not only with his players, but with these fans as well. And I think even a lot of our fans have gained a lot more respect for him. I've liked him from the jump because he's different, and now he's a Super Bowl champion, and he's our Super Bowl champion. So, our saying here, no one likes us, and we don't care. We're Super Bowl champions again.
Ike, soak it up. Fantastic stuff. Thank you so much for joining us and just giving a little bit more perspective and detail about what this win means. And for people like my co-host, Andrew Perloff, diehard Eagles fans, I mean, this is your moment, man. Fantastic stuff.
Thank you, Maggie. And hey, Drew.
Yeah.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Go Birds!
Wasn't sure if this is going to break out into an Eagles chant. We'll let Ike go back to his work. Thank you, Ike, and have a great show today.
Thanks, Ike.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
You can listen to Ike Afternoons with Ike, Spike, and Fritz on WIP, which is one of our sister stations. And Ike is one of you talk about smart, good energy, obviously knows sports and football inside out. He's just the best. It's such a good listen. That
was a really good summary of the pro Nick Sirianni argument. He kind of summed up everything that's hard to quantify. It's hard to put into words what's good about Nick Sirianni, but then you make that Harbaugh and Dan Campbell. Sirianni's just a different, he's sort of a upstate New York twist on those guys.
Is he ever, man? And he's so upstate, and obviously I'm from there too, and I totally get it. But he also seems very Philly at the same time. It's funny because when Ike said that, and he's like, what's the difference between Dan Campbell and Nick Sirianni? And we did this earlier. We said, how many coaches, if you were starting a franchise, how many coaches would you name before you got to Nick Sirianni? And I put Dan Campbell on my list, and you did not. And I think I finally figured out why I have Dan Campbell over Sirianni, even today, a day when we're celebrating all things Philadelphia and all things the Eagles. When Dan Campbell took over the Lions, that was the laughing stock of the league. It's not bad culture. It's no culture. No culture, bad culture. There was nothing there, you know? They were about to go through this big change, and Stafford, wanting to get traded out of there and bringing back Goff, but they're rudderless, history of losing. Barry Sanders retired 20 years ago? I mean, it had been so long since even the Megatron and Matthew Stafford days. It just felt like all hope was lost, and he put a face on a woebegone franchise. Nick Sirianni came in and took over a team that had won a Super Bowl 3 years before he got there. 4 years before he got there, pardon me. The cupboard wasn't bare. They have a good culture. They have a good owner. They have a GM who's brilliant. Owners willing to spend. People like him. It just Dan Campbell, I know he hasn't won anything yet, but the hill that he had to climb just seems so much steeper than what Nick Sirianni walked into. Nick Sirianni didn't even walk into a quarterback controversy. They decided they were going with Hurts over Wentz before he got there. That was Doug Peterson had to clean up all that mess.
That's all true. I mean, but in my mind, if they face off next year, the Eagles have a coaching advantage. That's one thing they just have the better. They're going to, even without Kellen Moore, they're probably going to have the better staff, especially now that Ben Johnson's gone. So, I kind of think like Sirianni is just he's kind of like McVay and Shanahan, like the young, what's that word for a young genius? Injuing. Like he was, remember at the end of the Colts, like he was getting hot. Like, I know he's out of nowhere, but like people are like, whoa, this is the guy. Like everyone's like, oh, they got that guy. Like he was coming up. Campbell's a former player who was an interim coach. He kind of feels like a more traditional coach, where Nick Sirianni was, I don't know. I just feel like he's this young up-and-coming guy. I feel like the Eagles are definitely going to have an advantage over the Lions. I worry about the Lions coaching staff now they lose Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson. That's why I kind of downgrade Campbell a little bit. Not because of the fourth down stuff, but honestly, like if you look at the Lions, what's a great strength? It's a roster, right?
Yep.
It's not the coach, is it?
I think it's both. I think Dan Campbell's like the perfect combination of sort of football guy. I want to say meathead. It's going to sound like derogatory, but he's kind of got like that football gritty guy. I was a player. I played through injuries, or, I can speak your language, and also like the nerdy analytic guy. Like he's both all in one.
Right. But can you imagine if you gave Kyle Shanahan that Ferrari of a roster, what would happen?
Shanahan has a great roster. That's crazy.
Right. Well,
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, and it was great, and he was awesome with it. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if Dan Campbell's that guy without Ben Johnson next year. And I believe you, I'm not alone on this. There are a lot of people who are worried about that situation.
Yeah, we'll see. 855-212-4227. Again, thank you to Ike Reese. I mean, again, this parade is going to be like zombies. People got to get some sleep. They got to pace themselves. It's not until Friday.
Well, maybe they'll take a couple days off and then really get after it on Friday again. Hey, this is Philly.
Sheesh.
They'll be fine.
Okay, lots more to do, including updating some of our poll questions that you're welcome to weigh in on. Should Travis Kelce retire? We're asking you. And also, if you make a drunken bet, do you have to pay it off? If it's not done sober, does it count? Dive into that next. M&P.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Town with suspicion in his eyes, saying Kaplan's got a secret and he's hiding it inside. Zach Jobs lost in darkness, Ryan Stream's a mess, Chavelle Wolf's just a spinning wheel. Oh Lord, what a distress. But Maggie and Perloff, they shine so bright, like a star in the desert on a Texas night. Daily says it's shady, but I swear on my name, I just push the buttons, I don't play no games. Now Peter Bellotti, well he don't show, and that man's supposed to be running this show. If there's a tech problem, don't look at me. Ask the guy who's missing more than Tennessee teeth. So Davey, my friend, don't spread that lie. I ain't no bandit, I just make strings fly. But Maggie and Perloff, they shine so bright like a
1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Ethos Life, the easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes, up to $2 million in coverage. With no medical exam, just a few health questions. Get your free quote at checkethos.com. Not available in all states. All right, Maggie, still breaking down the Super Bowl. Let's do some winners and losers on an individual basis. Obviously, take me out of the picture. I'm a huge winner because my Eagles won.
Yeah.
I didn't really do anything.
I think that makes the rest of us in this room all losers. Because now we got to hear about it from now to the end of time.
At least until next year. All right, get us started. Who are some of your winners and losers from the Eagles and the Chiefs?
You know, to be honest, I thought that Jalen Hurts would be the biggest winner in this whole thing because I also thought he had the most to lose. And he's the Super Bowl MVP, and I still feel like we're still not giving him all of the, proper flowers, if you will.
Well, he had 220 yards or something. It wasn't like...
Yeah, but, is it a yardage competition? I feel like, are we getting a little bit more evolved, and I know you are, to understand that this Eagles offense just has a lot of different dimensions. And
right. Hurts is one of the dimensions. He's not the... Could have anybody have done that?
Well, I don't think so, and here's why. I think you had to have the correct decision-making, too, and that's what people aren't giving him enough credit for, because there are, he did throw an interception in the game and it ended up kind of like being a punt. But here's the thing. There's so many ways that from the neck up, you can lose a Super Bowl for your team. And I thought that Hurts played a perfect game. I mean, it was nearly perfect, again, outside of that interception. And I don't know what more this guy has to do. It doesn't have to be a throwing for 350 yards every game to prove that you're awesome. Look at Joe Burrow. He had all the gaudy numbers this year, and the team couldn't do jack because they didn't play complimentary football because the defense stunk. So I just think that Jalen Hurts has to be known now as a winner, and I don't even know if he's getting that kind of grace.
Well, it's very similar to Russell Wilson winning. This, to me, was the closest parallel to this game was Seattle Seahawks blow out the Denver Broncos, and Russell Wilson happened to be there. But honestly, I think almost the way that defense dominated that game, it was going to be very hard for the Eagles quarterback not to win. Like, I don't know what Hurts, the debate all game was who's going to be the MVP, who's going to be the MVP. You can't give it to the defensive line. You never do. I mean, when the Giants' defensive line beat up the Patriots, they gave it to Eli.
Yeah.
So
the Seahawks, they gave it to Malcolm Smith, right?
Right, Malcolm Smith. It was a huge problem during the game. We're like, well, we got to give it to Hurts, but his numbers are so bad. Like, through the third quarter, he had like 115 yards passing. If you look at Jalen Hurts in credit, look at his playoff game log. I mean, he had, against Green Bay, let's look at this. He had 131 yards passing. Against the Rams, he had 128 yards passing.
In a snowstorm.
No
one's yardage.
Well, there was a snowstorm against Green Bay. Then he had a big game against Washington, whose defense is terrible, with 246. Then 221 against Kansas City, with some of it actually coming when they were already in a blowout mode, and the entire defense up there to stop Saquon. So, yeah, of course he's not going to get credit. Like, he's averaging like 193 yards a game. He's good, but this was not a Saquon project. Do you really think, Jalen Hurts, like, you're really saying like, oh, this guy's
See, even as a winner, he can't win. This is also something very unique with the Philadelphia fan base, where you guys are always waiting to dunk on the starting quarterback, no matter who it is.
Well, yes, he's not, like, they're just not a big passing team right now. And he didn't get the 3,000 yards this year. That's been great. They are a Saquon, and more Saquon. Ike Reese just said in the last time, Saquon carried the ball 25 times, even though he wasn't going anywhere on any of them. I'll go with my winner. Obviously, it is that defensive line. Milton Williams, free agent. Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, and guys who rotated in. Brandon Graham had a big play, probably going to retire. I can't believe how effective it was. You know who really stands out to me is Nolan Smith in this playoffs. He was, in my mind, he was a bust. The former Georgia star, number 1 overall recruit, big superstar. And then you just saw him just hunting down quarterbacks all postseason long. His speed is a difference maker. He just looks different now. And that's why I'm so excited for this Eagles defense moving forward. You get Jalen Carter in the middle and Nolan Smith on the outside. I think they have an emerging star over the last month.
Definitely. More winners and losers from the Super Bowl. Can I give you a loser? And this is someone who didn't even play in the game, and I'm not even sure how she got onto the field. But what was Travis Kelce's ex-girlfriend doing out there? Holding Eagles confetti? Was she like a guest of the team? I'm going to be honest. Perloff, you were at the game and you had a press pass. It is not easy to get on the field. You have to have a certain type of credential. They don't just let everybody down there who is part of the media or what have you. She somehow got a sideline pass and got down there and is taking photos. You got to move on with your life, girl.
Well, she's a big influencer, though, right?
I don't know. This seemed very petty to me. I mean,
you're saying okay. Well,
to be celebrating, basically on Travis Kelce because he lost. I think it makes you look a little bit petty. He moved on. His new girlfriend's in attendance. She's famous. You got to get on with your life.
Yeah, I hear you, but you like petty. You always like Steph Curry being the petty king. This is kind of funny.
I think it's kind of lame. You're at your ex-boyfriend's game. I know
I'm the petty king.
I know it's a Super Bowl, but it's not like you showed up to a high school homecoming. But still, move on.
Oh, wow, that is tough.
It's not exactly Raiders against the Texans in Week 7.
No, I know. She's allowed to go to the Super Bowl. I get it. But, maybe stay off the field with the confetti and the whole thing. It's not about you.
Okay, I'm going to go a loser. And this loser is way too strong a word. And because he's an all-timer, he's a Hall of Famer. I really felt like, oh, man, I'm watching Chris Jones physically fall apart in this game. It was hard to watch. And the crying thing over the last month, it kind of feels like the end is coming for Chris Jones.
He cries all the time. That doesn't mean anything.
No, I just physically, he just didn't look all that. But over the last couple of weeks, I'm like, oh, my God, that was a big difference for them. They need peak Chris Jones. And when he came out after that tush push and was rubbing his neck, I was just like, oh, this is not the same guy. He's 30 now.
31.
Right? I've seen him listed at 30. But I worry oh, man, is Chris Jones already peaked? And I never thought about that with him. But it feels like that's a big deal for the Chiefs. I'm a little bit worried about that because I said earlier that, of course he'll be back. Of course he'll be back. But he is the star of the defense, right? He's the name on the defense. He's the key to that defense. I feel like, oh, boy, we're already seeing, the downsides coming soon for Chris Jones.
I'll tell you what. When he was getting his neck sort of worked on by the trainer and he's screaming in agony, that just... If you didn't feel that at home on your couch, oh, what does that possibly feel like? That must have been, to make that tough guy scream out like that, had to be the most excruciating pain imaginable. I don't know.
I, too, was screaming in agony watching the Super Bowl.
Well, that's for a lot of other different reasons, Manny. Don't worry, your Giants will get there someday.
I was screaming when they yelled,
"Mustard!" Well, that was going to be my other big winner is Serena. Now, I just said it was kind of lame that Travis Kelce's ex-girlfriend was there celebrating on the field he lost. But I do think it was pretty cool that Serena was there as part of Kendrick Lamar's halftime show, basically doing the Crip Walk thing because Drake is her ex-boyfriend, and this entire halftime show was one big, long diss track on Drake, who was in Australia at the time. Is in Australia right now as far as humanly possible that you can get away from New Orleans, Louisiana. I did think that was cool.
Did you guys see Random, by the way, on the the Kendrick Lamar halftime show? A lot of people, a lot of olds took shots at it, like they do with Rhett Lashley, the SMU coach, came out and destroyed it.
I saw
which
that.
Is so funny because he's got to recruit a lot of Kendrick Lamar fans. What was that about? I was like, don't college coaches have to stay agnostic on things as important as that?
We're trying to build a pipeline from the Toronto high school area.
Yeah, where it's all NBA now.
Yeah, it turns out Rhett Lashley, just big Drake guy.
Yeah, I was
He took
shocked.
sides.
Yeah, and he never explained what was his big problem. I know some people didn't like the halftime show, but still, he kind of just tore it apart and didn't really explain why, unless I missed it.
I'm trying to find. He said Lil Wayne. Anyone? Maybe he was a little.
Is it a Lil Wayne? Yeah, well, that's a thing now too.
Yeah, that's a little different.
Because Lil Wayne would have been the local artist who would have gotten it. He said, "Exercising my rare right to be a fan. Worst, halftime show ever.
Okay,
Sheesh.
Oh, shut up.
Well, that can't just be about Lil Wayne then. He just generally didn't enjoy it then.
I just can't help but do that in comic book guy voice.
Yeah.
Oh,
Worst
yeah.
halftime show ever. And
Oh, yes. Let's roll out another 80-year-old band.
Bro, that's what I've been saying.
Put them in wheelchairs.
Did you all see the report the NFL apologized to Lil Wayne? Is that true, by the way?
For not using him?
Yeah, for not letting him be part of it.
Isn't it Jay-Z's whole? Isn't it his thing? He's the one who's running the halftime show.
Rock Nation, yes.
Jay-Z should have to apologize to Lil Wayne.
Why are they apologizing to him? They could pick whoever they want.
This is a
Because
report
everyone's
the
getting
NFL
soft.
sent a letter
Everyone's so
to
sensitive.
Lil Wayne about the local thing. I guess is Lil Wayne tied to Drake? I'm imagining.
Yes, very much so.
That's his mentee.
Yeah, look that up, guys. You guys follow that up. There's this report the NFL felt bad. I mean, that is a thing like local, like I don't know, just a little New Orleans flavor in there. They had John Batista.
I will
sing
say
the,
this: if you didn't like Kendrick's performance, the idea that you would like Lil Wayne's
Yeah, right.
performance is mind-boggling to me. I've watched Lil Wayne perform. I mean that dude is. It's not exciting. He's not a lot of bells and whistles to say that.
Lil Wayne?
He's gone usually on that stage. Let's put it that way.
Oh, really?
I watched him do the actually, you know, he was okay during the 50th anniversary hip hop anniversary they did in the Bronx a couple years ago, but like live performance is not his thing.
Yeah, some artists are better in the
Yeah,
studio.
exactly. Like he's not a great performer, especially now. Lil Wayne 2008, maybe he will give you something good. Now I've seen Lil Wayne perform. Now it looks kind of sad.
I saw Lil Wayne at a DirecTV Super Bowl event, and he was good. This was 15 years ago.
Right, exactly. When he was in his prime, Wayne was an awesome performer. Like now, I think he's been kind of just mailing it in.
What are we talking about? Does the Super Bowl city have a duty to make a local guy? They don't do it anymore. Like it used to be, I think, a thing. Like San Francisco's next year, they have to put Metallica in at halftime. I don't know how this works, but I think that would be a good guide. Like LA did Snoop, so
that seemed
Snoop,
like
Dr.
a one-off,
Dre,
though.
Kendrick.
I'm trying to think of what other Super Bowls where there were
can't think of
local
one.
acts. Like they didn't do like Alicia Keys for New York or
That
anything
was
like
Bruno
that.
Mars, I think, that year.
And it was good.
And the Red Hot Chili Peppers, an LA and Hawaii-based musicians.
yeah, I guess they don't do it. Dallas didn't do Beyonce, did they?
And it's not
Well,
a lot of
she's used
home
to, but
fans there.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
mostly
sorry, yeah.
It's mostly
Or did Houston do Beyonce?
It's mostly like corporate sponsors and like fans of the teams that are likely not playing in the stadium. So I don't know what the home crowd thing has anything to do with
Yeah,
it.
I think the pregame stuff is often local. Like John Batiste and the woman that sang Lift Every Voice, she was from Louisiana.
Yeah, Harry Connick had a role.
Right, so I think that's where the local flavor comes in. National anthem, God Bless America, stuff like that. It's too
I don't
hard,
know.
I think, to find somebody that checks all boxes for halftime, including geography.
Don't forget the other part. You don't get paid to be the halftime performer.
Right.
And in fact, I think it's the opposite. I think I don't know if you have to pay, but you don't get paid. So I don't know. I don't know any musician that would turn it down, but
Drake reportedly has turned it down multiple times.
Oh, yeah. And I guess Taylor did too, right?
Definitely
Taylor
too. Oh, I
So-
bet you like some of those big acts, they have these big tours coming on. It's probably a big pain to do it. I wonder who's next year. Do you guys have any idea? Like who's a massive star who hasn't gotten in yet? I mean, Kendrick Lamar made sense.
Miley has been in the
There you go.
ballpark apparently for years, and they just haven't picked her. I assume she's coming up.
Oh, Sabrina Carpenter big enough yet?
Might be a little too new.
Oh,
but
Olivia
Yeah.
Rodrigo?
None of her songs are clean.
The guy that I'm thinking of doesn't even speak English.
Oh, Bad
Bad
Bunny.
Bunny. That'd be cool.
He'd be great.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Well, he does speak English, but his songs aren't in English.
Right. Oh, you want to anchor parts of America? Put Bad Bunny up there.
I
We
feel
did Shakira, I guess, but
No, they've done a few. Yeah, I mean, the NFL also has a major, major interest in the Spanish-speaking audience.
Well,
like,
no,
major.
let's think about it.
Yeah.
Well, who are they really trying to court? The audience, the German audience.
Yeah, they want the international audience. They want the young audience. They want the non-football audience. Like, they'd have like
Can we
Kendrick
get some
Lamar was-
Lederhosen and like some accordions and stuff? That's going to be the halftime show.
I
It's going
know.
to be like, Happy Oktoberfest, everybody.
No, Germany is
Polka music.
Germany is
What was
sprockets. Yeah, Germany is EDM.
But they should bring back David Hasselhoff.
I just watched
Let him be the guy.
I just watched a documentary on the big EDM guy who killed himself, Timothy. You guys know this guy? Anyway, you know his songs. he was a walking god in Germany. Like he was like the biggest thing ever. So if they do a German Super Bowl, it's going to be an EDM.
Well, it can't
show.
be that guy because he's dead.
Well, jeez, everybody. This went off the rails.
That was mean.
Bogusch?
Yeah, great. No, thanks as always. Happy to be here. After making his Lakers debut last night, Luka Doncic still had Mavs fans on the mind.
It was amazing to experience those friends and the love for me. I will always appreciate that. But now I think we should focus on the next step, and the way Lakers fans received me here was amazing.
Luka played just 24 minutes in this 132-113 Laker win over the Jazz. It wasn't just his first Laker game. It was his first game, period, since hurting his calf on Christmas. He finished with 14 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists. LeBron at 24, 7, and 8. As for those Mavs fans, some of them thrown out of last night's 129-128 OT loss to the Kings for continuing to bash GM Nico Harrison for the Luka trade. One ejected fan said, "Fire Nico" on the Jumbotron. Others
How dare he.
had "Fire Nico" signs. Chet Holmgren, 12 points, 6 rebounds, 5 blocks in his second game back from that broken hip. He and the Thunder down the Pelicans 137-101. That's 6 in a row for OKC. Jason Tatum at 33 and the Celtics 103-85 win in Miami. And the Cavs jumped on the T-Wolves early last night.
Mitchell out front, lost the dribble, got it back, drives the lane, pow with the right hand. Donovan with some oohs and ahs from the crowd.
Tim Alcorn on Cavs radio. Minnesota missed its first 16 shots in this one. Mitchell's dunk gave Cleveland a 20-point first-quarter lead. They won the game 128-107. And Maggie, I've got an NFL conspiracy theory for you. The Giants are hiring Chad Hall as their assistant QB coach. He was most recently the Jaguars wide receivers coach. He also worked with Brian Dable and Joe Shane in Buffalo. But most importantly, Hall is Matthew Stafford's brother-in-law. So does this mean the Giants maybe will trade for Stafford this offseason?
Yeah, I saw this one. You guys can dream. I also don't know how good Stafford would even be if he got to the Giants.
Better than all current existing Giant quarterbacks.
Well, who's on the roster?
Doesn't matter.
I don't think that offensive line's going to be able to protect him. That'd be number one. And I think this is, you guys are real desperate here.
Manja!
Also, Kelly Stafford comes with. So
yeah, and apparently she's ready for a new adventure. But there is some logic in the Giants paying a veteran quarterback and using that third pick on say, Travis Hunter, because I don't think that Shador or Cam Moore necessarily should be in the top 3 of this draft.
No, I get it. And it would be awesome for you guys. I don't know how good he'd be, but 2,
he'd be better.
So what?
It's a low bar.
And what are you giving the Rams exactly?
Yeah, I mean, that's the part.
Yeah.
Those are details, but you're taking money off their table.
I mean, listen, if that's a dry field in Philadelphia, we may have been talking about a totally different outcome.
That would have been amazing.
Matthew Stafford for Darius Slayton. Who says no? Straight up.
I saw Stafford walking Brooklyn Bridge last summer. Loves New York.
He's already here. Manny, you want to reach out to Kayvon Thibodeau, see what he thinks about? Or EJ could do that, I guess.
Yeah, he's not
that's the right name.
I'll give it a shot. I don't know. If
I was
EJ 's
looking
gonna-
at EJ and I said Manny. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we all know Kayvon Thibodeau snubbed EJ at a Super Bowl party. How dare he?
Oh my God.
And we love Thibodeau.
Yeah, I've actually defended him a lot.
Me too.
I feel like he's cool. He had cool shades on. The fit was fire. I said, "Yo, what's up?" And he just nothing.
He was afraid you were going to ask for a photo. He didn't want to stop.
Oh, I wasn't gonna do that. That never. I get it. But like that, nobody was taking photos. Like I know very little about Super Bowl parties, but nobody was taking photos with random fans. One guy tried to get a selfie with Nick Wright. That happened. But besides that, nobody was taking photos. So I was like, okay, this is not one of those things.
Everyone's keeping it professional.
Yeah.
You know what, Giants fans, you guys can dream.
That's all I have.
Right. Thanks, Maggie.
Get a cracked up.
And even then,
Matthew
those
Stafford.
dreams are nightmares. Thank you, Maggie.
You got a flu cough for that. Okay, lots more to do. Bogusch, thank you so much. More fallout from the Super Bowl. We get to it next.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining.
Corbuccio wipes the bottom of his sneakers. He's guarded by Lawson. Play in action. Corbuccio gets the screen from Ratliff. Corbuccio driving. Finds Ratliff. Free throw line. Jay. Yes! Clock continues to run. Panthers have one final chance. Here's Kennedy. Kennedy with 5. Step back. Jay. Yes! Oh, Josiah Kennedy! Ice cold! Timeout 7.
15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Dissecting a lot of Super Bowl 59, but as we start to move on, Pearl, and the football offseason is going to come into full effect, we're going to have to start putting some quarterbacks in new homes. And at the top of the list, I think, is Aaron Rodgers. Now, first he's got to decide he wants to still play. I think that's a given. Seems like he still loves it, his identity, and he seems to also get so much of family from his football team. I don't know. It's like he's the guy at work who's only friends with people at work. I know that's not really true. He's got a big full life, but don't you get that sense?
He went on vacation with Miles Teller. I feel like he's got the Hollywood itch too.
Maybe. Anyway, I think he still wants to play. Bottom line.
There was a report after the season that the retirement was in the ether, but he might be one of those guys who always talks about retirement and doesn't retire. So,
also, do you want to come off of a 5-win season with the Jets?
That's the conundrum when you're retiring. Like, oh, maybe I have one more in me at a certain point. Yeah, like Brady retired with a bad last season, was 8-9. At a certain point, you get old and you can't win. So I think you have to be smart about that. But I agree. I think he'll return. I think he's going to be good because I think he's going to be much healthier. And if I'm not sure exactly how this is going to work, but if he has full choice and can get with an offensive coach that fits his style, I think he'd be really, really good. Like he could have one more Brett Favre in Minnesota.
So you think in Minnesota is the best place to go with Kevin O'Connell?
Well, Kevin O'Connell would be great, but also I'm not sure that's going to be a possibility because are they going to want to stunt J.J. McCarthy with another bridge quarterback there? That might be tough.
Can I give you the place that I think could work and a place that I want to see?
Yeah,
okay?
Please.
So the place I think could work would be Tennessee. Tennessee is the number 1 overall pick, but do you want to go, if they take a quarterback, you can always sit that guy for a year behind Aaron Rodgers and let him get his feet wet. They actually do have some receivers because they made some trades for guys and signed some guys. So the cupboard's not totally bare. And you have a head coach in Brian Callahan who I think will give some leeway to Rodgers. You know, I think he'll let him run what he wants to run. And not that he's going to be like the GM, like he seemed to be with the Jets when he first got to New York, but I think he's going to have a lot of power. That'd be the place I think that could work.
Yeah, but I mean, that's a tough assignment.
Can I tell you the place where I would love to see it just for the potential boom or bust?
Yeah.
Can we see Aaron Rodgers in Las Vegas? Tom Brady running the team, Pete Carroll running the show, and Chip Kelly running the offense, and then let's throw Aaron Rodgers into this mix?
Well, that was my spot, but they were going to hire Darrell Bevell, all the reports were, who was Rodgers' first coach and was the guy who was there when Favre had his post-Jets resurrection. And they did. They went with Chip Kelly, which is the wrong kind of offense for Aaron Rodgers. So, yeah, he's
just for the personalities and the possibilities. I mean, I would be fascinated to see.
About Chip?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Chip's
an interesting.
He's quiet, though. I mean, you wouldn't hear. Why not? By the way, Bevel went to Miami.
I mean, that would be admitting something majorly wrong with Tua.
I just think, like, if I want him. Rodgers got to be somewhere warm with good skill players. I mean, I'm sorry, like he's got to be indoor. He can't mess around the slop. You know what killed Rodgers here? That dumb rainy Broncos game. Like when you're old, like your knees can't get going in the rain. Like there are certain spots. Tennessee, the Raiders, like you're going to send them to a 3-win team. This is last year. What good is that?
Well, where would you like them to go?
I want them to go somewhere good.
Well, Pearl, a lot of those good teams have quarterbacks already. That's why they're good.
Well, Favre went to Minnesota, and it was indoors, and it worked great. Maybe Minnesota gives McCarthy one more year to learn under Rodgers. The Raiders are not that. I know they're indoors, but who's he throwing to?
Brock Bowers?
Okay, I know. It's just like, does Rodgers even love throwing to the tight end?
I don't. Yeah, that's a great question. I'm not sure.
Right. He's a receiver.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think they're talking to each other very much.
Rodgers, I think, needs a good receiving core. It's both those teams. You need something better, or he might as well retire. The Titans, come on.
Listen, he can't throw to Calvin Ridley. Yes, he can. And they've invested a bit in the offensive line. I don't know about Brian Callahan.
Their offensive line, they keep trying to draft the offensive line. Their offensive line is consistently PFF's number 32.
I said they invested. I didn't say that they developed. I said they've invested. I mean, Bill Callahan is on the staff. This is offensive line coach for basically our whole lives.
The Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, that's a bad team.
Yeah, they're picking number 1 overall. Like, beggars can't be choosers here, bro.
I know what you're saying, but you might want to. I think he would consider retirement.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's got too much to prove.
You got to be like Tom Brady. You got to go warm. You got to go Florida, retirement age. You got to figure this out.
855. Well, I'll give you the number. We got to say goodbye. EJ Stewart, Manny Rodriguez, Andrew Bogusch, Andrew Kaplan, the great Ike Reese, who joined us early in the show from WIP, Guido's Coffee Drinkers. You guys on the phones, you're the best. We'll see you tomorrow.